Time being 6 o'clock exactly, I call this meeting of the Town Council Communications Subcommittee to order. All right, note to the residents, all citizens are welcome to attend public meetings in person. To view the live meeting remotely, citizens are encouraged to watch the live stream on the Franklin Town Hall TV YouTube channel or the live broadcast on Comcast Channel 9 and Verizon Channel 29. To listen to the meeting remotely, citizens may call in using the number 1-929-205-6099. To participate in the meeting remotely, citizens may join the Zoom webinar using the information below, which is ID number 830-6701-6031. All right. So the first thing on the agenda is the current municipal department communications efforts. So Jamie, do you want to lead this, or Liz, are you leading this?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, does anyone wish to go first from our departments, or do you want me to call on someone?
Well, really quickly, yeah, I mean, while you're calling on, Joe, you're gonna be first because you're in the last row. I thought it would be helpful that, you know, a lot of our staff already do a lot of outreach, and I'm not sure everybody, not necessarily here, but just at home is aware. And just to know what they do, I think might be helpful to the committee as you kind of chart your priorities in the future. There's probably a lot, Steve Sherlock and I were just talking about this actually. There's a lot that's gone on, and I think some of the issues sometimes is that people aren't connected to the stuff that we're already doing. And so we thought it'd be helpful if the committee knew what, you know, what social media channels and what outreach is already going on. And so Joe sat in the last row, and so I guess Joe's gonna go first.
You're also the first person here, like
Yeah.
long before them, so you got picked on.
All right, thanks. I'm Joe Barberi. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief. So I handle a lot of the social media for the department. So we're involved with X, formerly Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Facebook is probably the predominant one that'll get more contact and more followers and feedback from. So that's a more popular one. So we do integrate across those platforms. So we see a mix. You know, when we first started over 10 years ago, we thought we were mainly focusing on the Franklin community, you know, trying to educate the public on what we do, major incidents, stuff like that. But of course, social media spreads out, so, you know, we do have a following outside of Franklin. You know, even former Franklin residents, you know, follow us, you know, to keep up to date of what's going on in the community and stuff. So we try to keep it with a mix of stuff. We do try to push out prevention material, although that's not, you know, as interesting to some folks, so that makes it a challenge, right? So, you know, if you're trying to talk about smoke detectors, you know, in this day and age, you know, people like to scroll through things really quick. Quick 5 seconds, if they're not interested and grabbed in that subject, they're moving on to scrolling through the next thing. So, you know, it's important to have a mix of different things out there. So we do try to mix up with videos, photos, but people like kind of the interesting stuff. You know, I think maybe that's why the police department's pretty popular, because, you know, if they post a picture of Ben Franklin, everybody's attracted to that. So, so it's a challenge that we're always trying to meet. So outside of social media, we do have Regroup, which is our reverse 911 platform for the town. We advise residents to sign up for that and participate on that. There's a link on our website to make sure you're registered, so that if there is an event in town, you can get notified through that, you know, depending on what the issue is in town. All right. We do work with our other community members. You know, if there's a major incident, we can work with Franklin TV to put something up. The radio station, our partners in media, to get the word out about something. You know, in an emergency, we could also have the police department bring out signboards, try to help out with that messaging throughout the community. We do have the town website. We can post stuff. They can put a banner up on that, you know, try to advise residents on things, or create a separate web page, depending on exactly what's going on. So we do try to integrate some of those materials as well. And outside of that, we do have contacts at the state, so through MEMA, there's an emergency alert system that, that we could lean on them to push an urgent message out if needed. There are some layers to go through, and it has to be a pretty important message to get out, but we do have that ability if needed. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can I just add one thing too? They do a lot at the fire department and at the police department, but also for press releases, we created a constant contact, which is an email marketing system to send out emails to the media for press releases of whatever nature. And we actually created a tab on I created a tab on the fire page where they have their press releases where they live. So we use that also as another channel to send out to media, contact media for events and crises and things of that nature too. So.
Hi, I'm Max Morrongiello, Town Council. Is there any time where you get, there's a lot of unconstructive feedback on social media, unfortunately, but do you ever get something constructive that improves your service or you respond to that, makes things better?
I've had people contact me offline, not necessarily through, normally we don't monitor the comments because you can really go down a rabbit hole with that. But I've had people contact me offline, suggest something, hey, can you post something about burning permits, how to access those? And we created, some pictures and walk people through that process to help educate people on how to do that. So, but, it's, because of the dynamics of the social media, it's really hard to engage with any sort of back and forth or anything like that and go down that route. But if people reach out, on the side, we're happy to listen to them and get some feedback and help improve.
How do people typically get a hold of you on side channels?
So on our website, we have all of our contacts right on our main page. Right on the right-hand side, you'll see everything, and we have our full department roster. You can email anybody on the department specifically. It's all on the website.
And I know you're the social media guy, or does it get to you some other way?
We do have a generic email that the town set up for social media, so I believe that is on our Facebook page. I'll have to double check, but so there is a way that you can go right to that if needed.
Thank you. That's all I got.
Gene, you have a question?
No questions.
Just one. Out of all the things that you stated, what do you think is the most effective as far as getting the word out? What do you feel is reaching more people?
It seems as though Facebook is really the driving force. That seems to be what people go to. X, we get very little interaction with that. We find that news outlets, news media follows X more. If they have like a tweet deck, they have people assigned to monitor what's going on in that feed, then they'll reach out to us and try to ask permission to use our photos and stuff like that. So that's a good source to keep that and kind of help educate the public through the media on that channel. But Facebook seems to be our biggest and quickest impact.
I've seen incidents happen where real time there's updates going on Facebook, people telling you what's happening. I remember there was a cat stuck in a tree one time and that got a lot of traction.
Yeah, animals get a lot of traction from all the residents, community members. They love the animals. It's a surefire way to get someone to follow the page.
But it kind of sounds like you guys need a fire dog.
I was just going to say that. We need to get you a Dalmatian.
Yeah.
You haven't met Sparky? Really? Sparky?
We got a costume, Sparky the fire dog. It's through the National Fire Protection Association. We do it. So, but if somebody was dressed up on a hot day, it's not a lot of fun to be in. But on our open house days, we do dress up, and the kids love that. But
Well, that's awesome. but they don't want to pose in that costume to take pictures for social media to compete with the with Ben Franklin.
Yeah, it's hard to compete with them.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. My only question I was actually going to ask about, which was most useful, I mean, but are you finding that people, I mean, the last 10 years since you've been doing social media, are you finding that people seem to be more informed now? Like, is word getting out? Are people paying attention to this? You know, is it, are you finding that people are, you know, learning from the things that you're doing, or is it hard to tell?
It is hard to tell because as much as we try to educate the public, you know, whatever the rumor mill is on the street could go against whatever we put out there, you know, just the dynamics of the world we live in. So it is a constant challenge, but we do, you know, I do feel as though there's at least some sort of positive impact. We're trying to tell our story, what we do, and try to help educate the public the best we can.
That's excellent. Thank you. Really?
Good.
All right, well, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
We need animals that, we need to use AI to make animals that look like counselors. Don't do that.
Hi, I'm Allison Smith. I'm the Deputy Director at the library. I just want to check, were you guys hoping for just social media specific or like sort of all communications?
Communications.
Okay, so I mostly took notes for social media, so let's do those first. We at the library have a Facebook account that has about 7,000 followers, an Instagram account that has about 2,000 followers, and a Twitter account that we really only copy posts over to from the other two, so that's something we're maybe thinking about phasing out potentially. So the way we use them is each program that we hold has an event on Facebook, and then starting about 6 weeks ago, we tried to regularize our posting. So we have one post each week that has an upcoming highlights of programs for the week, and then 2 to 3 other posts per week that are more about highlighting either something that we want to boost registration or attendance for, or like a recent success, or a resource that people might not know about. So those go on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but our primary hub, I guess, is mostly Facebook, similar to the fire department. We tag the town in almost everything and other departments as relevant to try to get some crossover notice. And then I was looking at our 28-day Facebook snapshot. So we had 30,000 views in the last 28 days, and that's up a bit from the previous month, which I think is hopefully due to the fact that we've kind of gotten on a bit of a schedule. We have about 7,000 individual viewers, which is great because that means that the people that are following us are, like, those numbers are close, so that feels like the people who are following us are seeing the stuff that we're putting out there. We've had a good number of engagements. We've had an additional 150 followers in the past like 30 to 60 days. And our follower breakdown, according to Facebook, is about 65% from Franklin, and then the rest are a mix of Bellingham, Rentham, Medway, and Milford. So we do, which makes sense with our program attendance too, is that we do tend to get a lot of residents, but a lot of people who hear about the good stuff that's happening in the library and come from other towns too. And then as far as other communications go, we have a monthly newsletter that we've been sending out through Civic Plus Newsflash, but as of next month's edition, it's going to be on Constant Contact. It's got some more functionality, better design options, and it's easier for people to sign up for, so we're hoping that that will help us regain some of the newsletter subscribers that we had previously before we transitioned to the new version of Civic Plus that we have now. It also gives us the option to potentially add on additional newsletter type things for people to opt into, like a reader's advisory email, or suggestions about museum passes or other highlighting options. And then we have a monthly press release as well that we send to the local news, to Alan Earls and to Steve, who helps us get the word out about upcoming programs. And I think that about covers it.
All right, excellent.
Yeah, a couple questions. I know you have a lot of amazing public events. At those events, is there like a registration requirement, or do you have some way of collecting email addresses from people who go to those events?
So it depends on the type of event. We require registration for things like basically anything that we have to buy supplies for, or that we have a presenter for who has a cap on how many people they can service during the program. We will have registration, and that requires first name, last name, email address, sometimes library card, but not always. But for most of the events, it's just an open, anybody can come.
And the Minuteman Library Network, are they able to, do they have a privacy policy that prohibits sharing with the library for newsletters, or is this something you control from the Minuteman Network?
It's interesting that you asked that, because that's been something we've been talking about as we're moving to constant contact. Everybody, or almost everybody, when they sign up for a library card, it will be connected to, it's called a P type, a patron type. So if you sign up in Franklin, you're a Franklin P type. So we have access to all of those emails from the library card signups, and we're talking about whether or not that sort of gives us the opportunity to add those people to the newsletter list because we have that access. So that's something we're considering, or maybe as just like a first blast with an opt-in option. Yeah, so that's a little bit murky, but we do have a lot of email addresses, yes.
And I know that what are some steps that the library has taken to incorporate feedback from patrons into their services?
I mean, we have several public service desks at the library, the circulation desk, the reference desk, and the info desk. And even though we don't have necessarily specific office hours or anything like that, that's pretty much an open call for people to give us feedback at any point. So the circulation staff in particular are kind of the front line of the library, and they get lots of comments from people as they're checking out or returning books where they have a question. So they're really good about reporting in our meetings, reporting to Felicia and myself about if they're getting consistent feedback about, oh, people are having issues with this, or this is the third person who's mentioned that they're confused about how this thing works, or something like that. We do get a lot of good feedback that way. When we post on social media, we always have comments turned off, so we don't want to get feedback that way, but if comments do come through that way, we typically will just post a generic response that points people to please contact us here, and gives our hours and telephone number and things like that, because we don't want to get into a back and forth on social media, regardless of whether the feedback is good or bad. And then we're in the midst of doing our strategic planning right now and updating our plans. We did just do a community survey specifically to get feedback about things that people want to see at the library, or they want to see continue at the library.
That's good. And then final question is there anything that the Director of Communications could do to better support you as someone in the communications department of the library?
I don't think so. I mean, yeah, Liz has already been really helpful. I was asking her questions about what type of schedule it would be good for us to get on with our social media posting, and how often, and time of day, and all of those sort of nitty-gritty things. We also met yesterday when she came to the library, and she mentioned helping us out with getting on some of the larger platforms that are going to have multiple departments on there, so that we can be included in sort of seeing what's going on with the other departments and when and how people are posting, and scheduling and things like that. I know this is already in the works, and it's in the documentation for tonight, I think, but there's plans for like a best practices and handbook sort of thing. So we definitely look forward to having that and having something to refer to. But yeah, she's already been very helpful.
Thank you. That's all I got for you. Thank you for taking your time. Appreciate it.
Nothing from me.
No, everything is answered.
All right, and then I only had, I was wondering, as you are putting out more newsletters, more social media posts, and you're getting, 30,000 views in a month and 7,000 viewers, are you finding that your participation in the programming is increasing, or maybe the numbers of people coming in the doors? Are you finding that there's might be a correlation, and as numbers on communication go up, that numbers in the door come up?
I think there are a couple of things that we did simultaneously, which it's tough to say which ones might be impacting this more, but particularly we try to get a rough head count for things like the story times and like the big youth and family programs, and that's a challenge in a good way because there are often so many people there. So we estimate that way, and those always have, or almost always have, really strong participation, which is great. One thing we can see is with the programs that require registration, particularly with teens and adults, we have been having issues occasionally with people signing up and not showing up. So we did incorporate a gentle policy about, you have to give us notice, and if it's a consistent issue, you won't be able to sign up for that type of program for a little bit. So that has been, the response to that has been pretty good. So we've had better registration and follow through, I would say. And also we've had strong registration and wait list signups. So when people do cancel, we have somebody ready to fill in that slot and give them enough notice that they hopefully can make it and like a seat isn't going to waste. So I think that's probably a combination thing of that, kind of letting people know that like we do actually need you to come if you signed up for something, and having just more information generally out there about the programs that you can sign up for or get on the wait list for.
Yeah, that sounds great. I've noticed, personally, when oftentimes when the library events show up in my, Facebook feed, and it's like, oh, there's an event you might be interested in. It's often something that was posted like weeks before, and then it just shows up maybe because it's coming up soon.
Yeah.
And then when I click on it, it's something that is like the wait list or the registration is already completely full. That's oftentimes like, oh man, my kids would love that or something like that. Anyway, but it just seems like every time I see one of those events that there's a lot of interest, right? Because most of the time I'm finding it and the registration is full and it's still a week or two away. So I just thought that was a really good sign. Not great for me because apparently I'm slow to register, but a really good sign for the library.
Yes.
People who are coming. So that's excellent.
Yeah, it is. We're lucky and very happy that we have as good participation in Franklin and as much interest as we do in the library stuff.
Are you finding that most of your events that require registration are filling up?
Yeah, pretty consistently. We do change things up a little bit over the summer because we have regular programs that meet either weekly or monthly, and it's just, it's tough over the summer. People are doing like camps and traveling and all of these things. So we usually take the summer as sort of like a bit of a step back where we'll do more one-off programming, and then also it gives us time to reset for the fall when we're gonna get back into those regular programs, but also potentially adjust things where we feel like, like interest or audience participation in this thing seemed like it was sort of flagging, so maybe we'll rejigger that so it's gonna be this type of program or include more a larger audience or age group or something like that. Yeah.
That sounds great. Thank you. Thanks, Allison.
Thanks. Thanks, Allison.
This is so great. I'm not calling.
Yeah, we're just dying to get up here. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ryan Jetty, Recreation Director. I brought Sean Fitzpatrick, our Program Coordinator, with us. So Sean's really our social media guy. He does all of it, but I'll kind of give you an overview of how we communicate with the public. Typically, like Joe said, we typically use Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Right now, we've got 3,700 followers on Facebook, 2,164 on X Twitter, and then 2,300 on Instagram. I think you said we had 9,000 views in the last 28 days.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of parents that use social media to communicate. Sean does a great job of highlighting some of the really cute programs, especially that 4 to 6 age group, like the T-balls and the programs that we have that have really little kids. Those tend to get all the likes, and people are really excited about them. But really, direct email is our best form of communication. We have 11,300 emails in our database, and we send quarterly emails out to those residents. We try not to spam people too much. I think in today's world, like, people are just getting so much information on a daily basis that they just want to hear from us maybe 4 times a year in terms of the brochures with all the new programs that we have coming out. As I said, there's a quarterly, so we usually try to back it up a month before the season starts. So like in spring, we'll send out on February 1st, we'll send out our spring brochure. And then May 1st, we'll send out our summer stuff. Some of the times of year, we will try to jump the gun a little bit on some of our bigger programs. Like, for instance, field hockey is a big program for us, so we usually start that a little bit earlier. Flag football is a big program for us. We'll start on July 1. It's like 450 kids are in that program. Basketball is another one that we have huge numbers, like over 800 kids in youth basketball. So we try to get those really big programs because there's so much that goes into that. Registration needs to come in early so that we can order uniforms, get referees lined up, get gyms. Our website, Civic Plus website, is a great resource. We put everything on there from what equipment the parents are going to need, the rosters of the kids on each team, the schedules and when they're going to play and what fields they're at. So yeah, a lot of we're constantly updating our website. We put all of our programs, Concerts on the Common information, information about Chilson Beach, the community garden. We have a whole page on our fields and playgrounds that people can click on and check out, you know, at what location do we have what? Do you have, you know, basketball hoops here? Do you have, you know, the beach here? Which ones have restrooms? Which ones, so everything's really neatly organized on there. Anything I'm forgetting, Sean, that you wanted to mention?
No, I think just for some of our big programs over the past couple of years, we put together like promotional videos. So we had a promotional video done for Pee Wee baseball. We had one done for street hockey, basketball, and flag football. So those came out nice, and parents love to see them. And I kind of use them each year. I'll put it back in another Facebook post and say, like, flag football's registration's open. Here's the video from 3 years ago, or however long it's been.
Yeah, we do an employee spotlight once a month too.
Yeah.
That was kind of a cool thing that people like to see.
Yeah.
We really try to highlight the successes of we have a lot of high school students that will work for us and give back to the community doing programs. So Sean does a employee spotlight, which is great, once a month. But like I say, the videos, just an interactive approach to communicating, I think is what people really enjoy.
Yeah, right now I'm also working on a document that I send out at the beginning of before summer camp starts, where we highlight our counselor staff. So I have them each type up a bio, send me a photo, and we put their photo and a bio about them. That way it goes out to the people that sign up at camp so they can meet the staff that's caring for their kids at camp before camp starts, and not just blindsided day one. They get to learn a little bit about the staff before they show up to camp.
Yeah, we have about 23 counselors that we hire each year, a director, assistant director, and then like 21 other staff. We also have an LIT program, leader in training program, so we get some of the younger kids that may be a little too old to attend camp, but aren't quite old enough to be in a leadership role like that. So we get them involved as well, and Sean really highlights, you know, what they're into. Some kids might be really sports oriented, other kids might be into the arts and crafts. So try to get a diverse group of employees as well.
I just had a quick question.
Yep.
You said you use direct email a lot for all of your parents and subscribers. Is that specifically on the website, or do you use that for, do you use a different platform?
Yeah, so we use our online registration software is called MyRec.
Right.
And that's where we have our whole database. And we can, through that website, through that software, we can send an email directly to the parents. I know Sean uses it a lot for the brochure. I don't love it because it's not, like, I feel like Gmail, I can go back and see, that it definitely made its way to every household. And I've heard from some of the residents that when you go through MyRec, they say, oh, we didn't get that. Because I think what happens is when you get large bulk mail, it gets sorted to spam, and so some people aren't getting the information.
Firewalls and, yeah.
Yeah, so Gmail, I think, has a limit of like 500 or something
Yeah, so-
emails that you can send at a time. So we might have to send like
Multiple.
6 different emails at the same time.
Yeah, so for like our basketball league, I usually do, we have like K-2 and then like 3rd grade through 8th grade. So if we can each season, I'll do a K-2 email and then a 3rd through 8th, because there's just too many people to send it all in one, so you have to break it up into multiple emails, but it ends up working out.
Because on news, I see that you guys post on the website, you'll post updates on Newsflash, and that goes to the subscribers that you have from the website too. So when do you choose to utilize that versus, MyRec? Is it kind of like events that would be pertain to more residents versus just your
Yeah,
parents?
so the MyRec communication is getting the most, we've got 11,300 in there. So that's getting to every single person because it's a quarterly brochure, and that's what people rely on for the information. Quite honestly, I'm going to admit this, I just started using that, so that's why you probably saw that. Now that I know we can use that site through, is it through Civic Plus, is that right? Or
MyRec?
No, when we send out.
Yeah, that's for Civic
Yeah,
Plus,
so I just started using that recently.
It's
So
great,
you'll be
yeah.
using that more often. Quite honestly, I don't even know how to check how many followers or how many people that's getting to.
We're gonna do that
Okay.
together. Yeah, I know. This is the one department that I have not spoken to yet about communications, I believe. So I feel like this is nice for me too to
Yeah.
learning with us.
If you'd like to take over our communication.
You know what?
Well,
That'd be a full-time job in itself.
when I got hired, and I'll go at the end, but a funny story was no one was doing anything when I got here 11 years ago except him. So like Ryan just was way ahead of every other department, so I think they've always kind of marched to the beat of their own drum and just kind of done that. So I think that's one of the reasons why
Well-
you guys have a dedicated audience, and it's very specific, and it's like the schools, it's very channeled in, and so you guys have always done a really good job on this stuff.
I mean, like you said, Jay, this is going to be my 27th year, and I remember when Phil Grove had our first website. We didn't even have it was like
One long page.
it was. I mean, it was like I had to take a class on how to write code just to put stuff up on the website. Like
That was 2015. That wasn't that. No, we've evolved quite a bit.
yeah. So we've always tried to figure out ways to get the information to the public. Whether it's, I took a class at Dean on how to write HTML code, so.
Jeff didn't go with you?
No. You probably didn't like that. I took
No,
that
he
class.
didn't.
Yeah, it's just a good question I'm asking everyone else. So how do you communicate? Communication is a two-way street. We can blast out information, but how do you receive information from like what kind of programs people want, don't want? How does that get to you?
Occasionally, we do some surveys. We use SurveyMonkey a lot of times. We'll send surveys about, like recently, we just reviewed a bunch of entries that we got back from our summer camp program. As you know, we moved into the Parmenter School last June, and we were considering moving our King Street summer camp to Parmenter School just because on rainy days and in hot days we relocate anyway. And so we thought, what a great venue to have all the camp. We've got the gym, some of the rooms are air conditioned. So we learned pretty quickly that people love King Street Park and they don't want to be at Parmenter. We also learned that our bathrooms need upgrading. So you just learn more information through surveys. People are honest because it's feedback that isn't traced back to somebody. It's like anonymous. So I would say the surveys are probably how we get our most honest feedback about some of the programs. We've also sent one out about what types of programs that residents want us to see. Do they want more art? Do they want more adult programs? And we learned a lot about pickleball through that as well, but did you want to?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think at the end of the last basketball season, I sent one out to our coaches, our volunteer coaches, and asked them, how can this program improve? What do you want to see? Would you come back and volunteer again? Stuff like that, and usually positive feedback, and they do have some good ideas to help us improve the program as well. So it's helpful.
That's all I got.
Yeah, if you have to like mass communicate, like for something out to people, say something being canceled, flag football game, whatever, how do you do that?
Yeah, my rec has that feature too. It has two features when you want to send an email. You want to send like almost like an all call. It'll send them a text message. It'll send them an email. So if we need to get information out there, we're sending it through email and text message. If it's a cancellation, we can do both. So not everybody is checking their email throughout the day, and sometimes a storm will roll in at 5 o'clock, and we have a practice starting at 5:30. So we'll use that all emergency, text message and email that get to them.
So that goes out to like everybody? Doesn't go to
No, it's specific to the program that they're
Okay.
enrolled in.
Okay.
Yeah,
How do you
because
maintain that list then?
that's maintained through them. They do it themselves. So anybody that registers through the software, it automatically adds them into that program. And then we just select the programs we want to send it to, and it'll blast them an email and a text message.
Okay. Awesome. That's it.
Just one quick question. I know, like you said, your direct email is like probably your biggest to get messages out, but that would be for people who are involved. What is your biggest way of drawing in new people who might not, you won't have?
It would be social media. I would say Facebook is probably the most important one for us. Yeah.
Okay.
And we do list, like even if we do send a direct email to people, we will list the same information on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and then have links directly to the registration site. Make it easy for them.
A lot of times when I post something about a program or like an upcoming program on our Facebook page, I'll also share it to like local Facebook groups, whether it's all about Franklin parents, stuff like that. So many people see it, not just people that are following us, because there are people out there that don't follow us, but they might still be interested in that information.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you finding that your programs are getting like the registrations that you're looking for? Are you thinking like there needs to be more work done to get the word out, or are you pretty happy with the level of?
I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, there's just some people you can't reach. They don't want the information in their inbox, and they want to go look for it themselves. So I feel like believe it or not, we have a big following from non-residents, and we make a lot of revenue off our non-residents. We have about 78% in our database are Franklin residents and 22% are non-residents. And we charge a higher fee to the non-residents. And any programs that will sell out that are very popular, we'll wait to make sure we get all of our residents in first, so we're not turning anybody away from Franklin. But those programs that do have plenty of space, like summer camp, for instance, or flag football, we do take non-residents as well. But I do feel like we're reaching a good number of people.
Good. So I know you said that like some of the best interactions you get or engagement you get is when you post the pictures of like the Little League or the T-ball and everything. I'm assuming that when people sign up, they have like a photo waiver.
Yeah, there's an opt-out feature that if the parents don't want their child's picture or anything, and we don't post names of kids,
Right.
like young kids. So there is a way for parents to just check off the opt-out. I don't want my kid's picture in any publication, and we respect that.
Good. You're able to, when you do put the brochures and everything together, you're able to verify that none of the pictures are of people?
Yeah, I mean, when Sean goes down to Pee Wee baseball or something like that, usually it's a conversation we have with the parent too. Like we had one kid mic'd up, we put a microphone on him, and we had, follow him around with a camera and just getting like his jokes to his friends on the bases and stuff like that. It was, so that was more of like a, hey, do you mind if we showcase your son in this sport, because it's going to be great. 6 years old in a T-ball field, running around with a microphone on. So those conversations we definitely have with the parents, and we have all the rosters and who the kids are and know how to communicate with them before we post that.
Yeah, I would say there are times as well where we featured a kid on a brochure cover, and a lot of times I'll recognize that person or that family, so I'll reach out to them first and say, hey, is it okay if we put your son or daughter on the cover of the brochure? They say no, we don't do it. Most of the times, I don't think anybody said no yet, but yes, because they like to see like their child like on the spring brochure or summer brochure. So
Yeah, absolutely. I have one of my best friends, her son was on the front of the brochure, I think, for flag football a couple years ago. And like, that was a big deal.
Yeah, he's a celebrity.
And he was very excited. He got a lot of friends who wanted to do flag football because they saw his picture on the brochure. So, I mean, I think it's a great idea. I just wanted to make sure that, like, I have some of my kids, if I know that there's a photo waiver, but making sure that, you know, those things are being kept very carefully.
Yes.
So, excellent. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any suggestions, you can let us know by email.
Yeah.
Hello. How's it going, everyone?
How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me again. Here we are again. It's been so long. I know, right? So hello, I'm the Director of Arts and Culture and the Creative Economy for the town of Franklin. And last week I was actually sitting up here chatting about how I utilize marketing to as an economic driving tool for the town of Franklin. And I made a bunch of crazy notes while we were sitting there, so I hope this all makes sense. Just to briefly go over some of the tools that I'm using. I really am drawn to Instagram just as a visual artist. It feels like it translates in any scenario what we're doing in Franklin, so I find that that feels like the easiest tool to use. I also have synced up our Instagram to post directly onto Facebook as well, so anything, and vice versa. So anything that's posted on Facebook gets posted on the Franklin Culture Instagram. I also I don't really use Twitter. I can't say that being witty is a strength of mine when it comes to the internet, so I haven't really participated in a Franklin Culture Avenue. Also sitting here, I'm like, I actually don't know who has the passwords to the Franklin Culture Instagram account. So that's kind of still that infrastructure of volunteerism and how that would translate into a municipal workflow. I also use Linktree, which is basically it utilizes the Instagram profile to be able to have clickable links, because otherwise on Instagram you can't click the links in the caption, and it's annoying to have to like try to copy and paste a caption just to get that link. So everything's posted in Linktree. So it basically is a tree of different links that makes it enabled for people to click on. I also like to use Latergram, which is a system where you can schedule out posts just in case I forget something. Like thinking of the Ladybug Stroll fell on a Saturday morning, and I wanted to make sure by 8 a.m. I had a reminder posted like, hey, Ladybug Stroll is happening, but also I am a mom of a 4-year-old on a Saturday morning. It's a fun surprise if I get out the door on time. So having that already scheduled out takes that pressure off and makes sure that the message is consistent for our community members. So that's just a little snippet of like the digital aspect of work that we're doing. Excuse me, mostly like the social media work that we're doing. We also, prior to when I started, the Franklin Cultural District has a fantastic newsletter that they would produce every week. And in March of last year, Pandora stepped down from writing it, and I took over in writing the weekly newsletter. So I added in elements about what the municipal projects were happening, more about public art, but linking it back to the cultural district, because that's where the foundation of that of the narratives are. Besides the weekly e-blast, I've also introduced a cultural district guide. So this is something I am just like obsessed with because it feels like a magazine for us, which I love. And what I really enjoy about this is that it's outside of the digital sphere. It gives a tangible takeaway that actually has relatable information that we can update seasonally. Also incorporating actual narratives of our community members. So in our first and second editions, we have upcoming events, the businesses in the district, as well as a featured artist. I'm blanking on her name. Carrie Houghton, she had this beautiful paintings of downtown, so that was the cover. So also, speaking of like what the rec department does, it's like, yeah, we're getting the artwork on the cover too, which was just so nice. And also snippets of their story. So Carrie was saying that she said she was a generational like Franklinite, and I just love that, and just having that actual family history included in a cultural district guide was just so cool. And also having it be free. So we have these set up downtown. We have them in this building, the library, the senior center, and places that people could grab them. And a lot of them actually got taken up at Porch Fest, which was great. So it was another one of those regional events that had these outside visitors. So it was like, yes, take these all. But also it hits a different age demographic too, because not everybody's on social media and the internet, which good for them. I bet their mental health is a lot better than mine. And seeing that, that the population of Franklin, 18% is 60 years and above. So I wanted to make sure that we were tapping every demographic and ways to express the events that are happening without having, oh, you didn't see it online, generating just other avenues for that communication. But last week I was chatting more about how I wanted to increase my marketing budget for the social media metrics. I wanted to just kind of give an example of like what the metrics that we're working with are. So Instagram, when I first started, I finally got the passwords in March. I started in February of 2024, and then I got the passwords, in March of 2024. And prior to that, the last post was in April of 2022. And there was, how many followers were there? There was 509 followers. And at this point in time, we have, so this is the part of my crazy brain. Okay, now we have 1,329 followers. So over the 2-year period, that averages about 34 followers a month. That's a 161% increase from where we started in March of 2024. Let me see. And this week's analytics, so I usually like to do these on Friday, so I'm just a day early, so there may be more, these numbers may change. But this week we got 13,000 views on Instagram and 2,000 views on Facebook. We find, meaning me, we find that the more stories are the active way to engage with community members, which I like to, actually, you all should follow Franklin Culture if you got your phones up there. Like, get those more followers on there. I like to use the highlights in Instagram to specifically categorize information. So I like to post a lot of like external public grants, so other organizations have the opportunity to have funding outside of Franklin. Also public art that's going on in Franklin. This week I think we had a really an uptick in views because we have a new mural going up at Dean Bank, and we had Creative Corner as well as the artist Kayla Nesbitt posting about that and then reposting that. So having projects happening in town in the district directly reflects this uptick in correlation of views, which love that. We love that. And also what's interesting too is that this is the creepy part about Instagram, in that we can see what age demographics and men or women, whoever they identify, what percentage they're in. So 79% of our Instagram followers this week have been women, 20% men. The age group that we hit, the largest age group, was 35 to 44 years old, and the second largest was 18 to 24. So that was interesting. So that just gives you a little snapshot of some statistics at the tip of my fingertips, but I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have.
I wanted to say too, Corey does a lot with print materials.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she puts so much out, like just for May Mental Health Month, she put out these sketchbooks. They have sketchbooks?
Yeah.
Sketchbooks,
Correct.
and she put them in town hall, she put them in the library, and she put them in wherever else, senior center. So it's like she's using different avenues to reach those different audiences.
I love Canva. Canva is where we create all of the flyers.
Yes.
Thanks, Liz, for bringing that up. I appreciate that. Canva's been a wonderful tool in the sense that it gives you that print and that tactile takeaways that you can have. Also, thank you for bringing that up because it also ties back to the visual campaigns of everything. So everything on Facebook, all the flyers, everything aligns, so it's thematic so people can recognize it, which I'm so excited about for the upcoming summer. There's been little snippets I've been putting out there of the summer vibe, so you'll see that soon. But having all those visually tied together, which means I'm creating everything in Canva and then connecting it and putting it on all the banners and on the Instagram and on the newsletter and making sure it's all very cohesive.
And the website.
Yes, the website. Oh, and Franklin Culture has its own website, so I'm also managing that as well on top of the town website. Well, not the whole town website, but my section of the town website.
I like how you do so much that you forgot part of it. You forgot the website.
Just knows.
Max?
Yes. So in terms of the marketing work you do for the cultural district, are there any events that are not town-sponsored or funded by the town via grants that you promote on your social media?
Absolutely. I would say a lot of that's where the stories are, because I find that it feels like a polite way to participate in everyone's events and not necessarily having to put like the municipal stamp of like, this is what the municipality fully believes in.
Mm-hmm. And how do you decide what events are worthy of promotion?
I ask a lot of people when it comes to like the event partnerships to tag us, and honestly, I haven't really hit that mark of it's not for us. It's been pretty appropriate, and also I feel like there's always an avenue to which it makes sense of why we would promote it.
Okay.
Because you're typically in the event, you're typically there at the event or partnering with the downtown partnership. Typically it's partners within the community, right? Yeah.
I would say a couple times some stores reached out about wanting to promote like a specific sale, and that's something that I just reposted what they shared, and that to me was, it felt like I was being a good team player and promoting what they were promoting.
So yeah, I support you in that endeavor, but I do think there needs to be consistent policy around sponsoring events that are not funded by the town, because I think it's not being done equally.
What do you mean, like sponsoring, like financially, or do you mean like sharing information?
Marketing.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
got it.
There is going to be a social media policy for staff members.
Okay.
There already is a social media policy.
I'll follow the rules.
I'm
I promise.
revamping it, so,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you. I just want to make sure everything's fair and consistent.
Yeah, absolutely, and I wanted that if there's a policy, I'm down.
Okay. Thank you. I yield.
Jean, you have anything?
I don't have any questions.
Jane?
I don't have any questions.
So, well, I feel like my biggest question you answered like right off the bat, I didn't have to ask it, was about getting things in the hands of people who were not digitally involved, right? And we've talked about this, and I think it's on our agenda for later today, one of the things we put on our work plan. And so you mentioned like your magazine is at the, where do you say, is it the libraries at here? Did you say senior center? Yeah. And then I've seen the sketchbooks around, and I wondered if that was you.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. I think the more that we can figure out how to do that for different departments, like I kind of wish that I'd asked Ryan and Sean a minute ago, have they put their brochure in like physically places as well. But I think the more that we can do that, the better we can get communication out to everyone in town, and not just the people who are chronically online, like some of us. Anyway, so thank you. It sounds like you're like way ahead of even what we've been talking about. So thank you for all that. And I don't actually have any other questions that you can answer.
All right, cool.
So, all right, thanks, Corey.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks.
I lied, I haven't met with the senior center yet. I'm making my way.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jillian. I'm the activities coordinator over at the senior center. I have a lot of notes, but I'm definitely willing to answer any questions as well. Due to the nature of who we serve, the senior center primarily communicates with our population through our monthly newsletter, the phones, and of course, face-to-face. We are present on social media, and many people tell us that their children or their grandchildren help them learn what's going on at the center. Our newsletter is 16 pages. This was updated from a 12-page format that we had previously had. Updating it to 16 pages allowed us to include information on our regular services like our social services coordinator or our transportation. We also include a volunteer spotlight in the monthly newsletter. The senior center needs each and every one of our volunteers, and the spotlight is one of the ways that we highlight all of those outstanding volunteers, as well as having, a great volunteer appreciation party, if I do say so myself. I also just wanted to reiterate what Corey said about Canva. It's just a fantastic resource. That is how we create all of our flyers, and it is how we create our monthly newsletter as well. We do it all through Canva, and it's just fantastic. That newsletter gets mailed out to, we actually just mailed it today, to 940 people, as well as getting picked up by at least 250 more people each month. With 300 people through our doors every single day, plenty of those people will also come and grab a newsletter too. Stacks of the newsletter are taken to various assisted living communities here in the town of Franklin too. We again use our volunteers to help us with that endeavor. We email our newsletter through our My Senior Center system to 100 people. We actually just opened up our email list in February of this year. So just in that short amount of time, we already have 100 people on our mailing list. So we're very excited about that. I mentioned My Senior Center. That's the system that we use at the Senior Center. It's a fantastic resource. All of our programs are in My Senior Center, and our members do have the option to create an account on what's called My Active Center. My Active Center is like an offshoot of My Senior Center. Essentially, it allows you to create an account, and then you can go and sign up for programs right from the comfort of your own home if you're tech savvy enough and comfortable with that. A few other communications that we utilize, we have a robocall system through My Senior Center, primarily to give updates on changes to programs. If something needs to change, for instance, we're just finishing up our Senior Olympics this week, and last week it being 90 degrees one of the days, we did have to change things up a little bit. So we do utilize our robocall system on My Senior Center. We also will send out reminders for different programs through that robocall system. Weekly robocalls are sent to our low vision group for any programming that they may be unaware of or that they may be specifically interested in. So we send those out every Friday afternoon, a robocall to the low vision folks. The Senior Center uses the application Regroup to send mass robocalls in the event of inclement weather or some other kind of emergency. Regroup has, I believe, almost 2,000 phone numbers on it for us, so we do send it out to a lot of people in that case. The Senior Center also utilizes our page on the town website. We have updates for our cafe. We do weekly, specials in the cafe. Also meetings of our Friends group and our COA board, our Memory Cafe information, and the social services info as well. On the topic of social services on the website, we actually have another offshoot on the website called the Social Services Resource Guide. It is a very comprehensive guide. It is all of the links that a person may need, from housing to food assistance to energy assistance, advocacy and support. There are many, many links on there that a person can go to and check to see if there is something that they can get the ball rolling on getting the help that they need. Postcards are available in the Senior Center lobby with a QR code that takes you directly to the resource guide. So we do have postcards in our lobby that will take people directly to the guide if they would like to. We also use a lot of direct emailing. I myself, I get a lot of emails from our members. I know that our directors do as well. The Contact Us page on the town website is definitely one of the ways that we do that. We also have our business cards out in the lobby. So we got a lot of direct emails from our members. I do send our monthly programs to Franklin Town News about 2 weeks prior to the newsletter coming out, and that way the Franklin Town News can get everything into their paper on time. The Senior Center does a monthly recording with staff and with Steve Sherlock for Franklin Matters. We actually just did it in my office yesterday. So we do those in order to get the word out and to spread the word on the radio on what's going on at the Senior Center. And then finally, we also use Facebook and Instagram to discuss our current happenings, highlights of programs that have happened, or letting people know about exciting upcoming programs. Social media really lets us show what the Senior Center is doing and how we cover the entire spectrum of aging well. Our most popular posts tend to be for our monthly parties or our monthly Eat Around the World events, or even some of our big events like Winter Wonderland or our Senior Olympics. And I pulled some quick numbers. We have 752 followers on Instagram and 1,500 followers on Facebook. And that was just everything I've got.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Next one.
Yeah, so is there any way that Liz or the subcommittee can best support you in your role in doing communications with, I mean, it's not the only part of your role, but, you know, that part of your role with marketing for the Senior Center?
I don't think so. I think that we've had a great partnership so far. I just met Liz last month at the accessibility workshop, so we've had a great partnership so far, and we're just continuing to do great events and keep getting the word out.
Sounds good. Thank
I'll
you.
definitely be visiting soon. I'm making my rounds.
It is a happening place. If you want to stop by tomorrow, it's going to be
I know, I
really
want to get some
fun.
lunch. I want to maybe look at the Senior Olympics, maybe partake.
What about Zumba?
I'm not coordinated, but I'll try.
But you see, the Zumba will help with
I'll be in the
coordination.
back. No, I want to be in the back. No,
Hey, if
no
our
one look at
seniors
me.
can do it, everybody can do it.
I'm all set.
What kind of feedback do you get on the robocalls? Like, you know, people are either, you know, okay with that, or sometimes they get too many calls, or do you ever get complaints about?
I would say the only complaints that we've gotten about robocalls were those large ones from Regroup when it's about like inclement weather or an emergency, because people will have signed up years ago and they forgot. When we send robocalls in the event of an event changing or some programming people need to know about, we only send those robocalls to the people who registered. So they appreciate it. So I would say we don't get a lot of pushback unless it's, you know, those really big ones we could.
Only one quick question because you pretty much put everything out there, so there's nothing really left to ask, but I know we get a lot of people that go to the Senior Center that are not Franklin residents.
Mm-hmm.
How do you reach them? Like, if you wanted to bring more non-residents in to start joining the classes or going to the cafe and stuff, how would you reach them?
So in terms of non-residents, there are actually a fair amount of non-residents. I don't have the exact numbers that do get our newsletter mailed to them. Our friends group helps us with paying for postage for our newsletter, and when they send out their their annual membership drive, people that are from out of town can sign up to receive the newsletter, and they pay a certain fee that's a little bit increased because it's out of town.
Right.
In order to get it. So that is one of the avenues we do it, but again, just continuing to post on social media really helps us. We are looking to always incorporate more programming to recruit more people, especially there's a fantastic program that the Bellingham Senior Center does that we're actually looking to do at our senior center. It's called the 60th birthday party, and sending out essentially a birthday invitation to everybody in town who's turning 60.
That's awesome.
And doing like once a year we do a big 60th birthday party just to invite people at the center. And you know, there's a big misconception thinking that the senior center is kind of a dull place, and it certainly is not.
It's always packed in
It's
it.
always packed.
The gift shop is amazing.
It's incredible, right?
The whole town.
Is that it?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. I love that 60th birthday party idea. What a great way to reach people who, might be thinking like, I'm only 60. The senior center's not for me.
Yeah.
Another 20 years, but I mean,
I want to go to the senior
yeah,
center.
I think I heard you all talk about the Senior Olympics last week. I was like, I'll throw axes. We just did kickball. But no, I loved the robocalls for the low vision folks. Like that, what an incredible way to reach people with what they need in the way that they need it. So I love that you do that. I did want to ask, so I'm sure that it goes to low vision folks because you have that information on them. Are you giving them kind of everything that's upcoming, or have you sort of pinpointed? I think you said give them things that might appeal to them,
Yeah.
or might be what they're interested in. So I'm trying to figure out how you kind of narrow that down. I mean, I guess maybe they're low vision, you're not telling about painting classes or something, maybe.
So with our low vision group, I've been working with them directly. I've been working for the senior center about 2.5 years now, and I've been working with them directly for that whole amount of time. So I'm the one who sends out those robocalls. So I kind of have a feel for what I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but I kind of have a feel for what they might be interested in. When I'm selecting what to talk to them about, it's usually, like, hey, there's the movie matinee on Monday. If their support group is that week, I'll let them know about that, or our audio book club. But then there's also other programming that I just think that they might be interested in. I'm certainly not the expert, but one of the best parts of my job is when I get to go out and talk with the people and talk with our members. So I always make sure I check in with my low vision group. Hey, do you guys like these robocalls? Does it have information that pertains to you? And I always get positive feedback. And that even goes for our general population as well. What kind of programming we want to do. The best way that I can learn that is by talking to the people.
And you said the newsletter is going, like stacks of it are being taken to assisted living homes, which I think is excellent. Is it going anywhere else in town? Like, do you have some here or at the library? I mean, I know I used to work in a library, and I know that you get people of all ages who come, and it's not just parents with little kids coming in for story time or anything like that. But
yeah, I think that we don't do it at the library. We've occasionally dropped off stacks at town hall before. I would say we're not as consistent with it as we could be, but we don't drop off at the library. I do work with Mitzi occasionally, though. Like if I have a particular program that I think would really suit well for the library's population too, to see if she could post her flyer and talk to her people too. So while the newsletter is not going there, we do try and let them know when there are things that they might be interested in.
Okay, great. I love hearing kind of the cross departmental collaboration from several, so I'm glad to hear that. I feel like I had one other question. Oh, the volunteers. You said you did the volunteer spotlight in the newsletter. Are you finding that by doing that you're getting more interest in the volunteer program? Are you getting the volunteers that the senior center is looking for, or do you feel like you could benefit from increased communication on that program, getting that out there?
I think getting more volunteers, we would never say no to. We always want more volunteers, especially because, like I said, we need our volunteers. They absolutely help us run the senior center. They help keep us going. So any additional communication on getting volunteers, I'm not the volunteer coordinator myself, so I won't fully speak on it, but that would definitely be very helpful to us. And I mean, one of the great ways that we recruit volunteers is telling them, hey, you might get your picture in the newsletter, you never know. We have a fantastic volunteer who always makes sure that he goes around and shakes the hand of the person who was chosen for that month, so it's kind of like a little welcoming committee.
That's awesome. All right, great, thank you. That was all I had.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, John.
Kate might kick it off and then I
Yeah.
can answer some of those questions.
So Kate Hankley is on the Zoom.
Okay. Hi, Kate.
Oh,
Hiya.
just takes a second. There we go.
Hi, Kate.
Oops.
No. Did we?
Hi, everybody.
Hi, thanks for joining us.
Hi. Derek, do you want me to go first, or did you want to?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay. So the DPW does a significant amount of outreach. We have a wide range of methods, starting from like the basic kind of old-fashioned of mailing out notices to residents. Anytime we have a large project that's going on, like a water line replacement, or a road that's going to be redone, we will send out letters to the residents of the abutters and hold neighborhood meetings for folks to come and ask questions, and kind of get a feel for the project. We also send out welcome packets to new residents. We have a whole workflow within the office. When someone has a final read, we know that the house is going up for sale, and so once that process is completed, we will then send out a welcome packet to the new resident. And that welcome packet, I wish that someone from our admin staff could be here tonight. She had other commitments, but Derek, you might be able to speak to as to what's in the welcome packet. But there's a stormwater mailer that we send out yearly. That's always included information on the recycling center, general information of the DPW. I don't know if there's any additional information from the town. Again, I'll let Derek speak to that if he knows more. We also do website updates, so if there's some kind of event that's happening, either touch a truck, or if we have our yearly rain barrel distribution, we'll advertise that on the town website. Anything that's a delay or like a water main break or something, that always goes on the website. We also use Regroup for the reverse 911. We're very specific as to when we use that. Typically, we tend to use that in the winter time during snowstorms, or if there's a really big water break, which doesn't happen that often. We also use Canva a lot. I know that Corey mentioned that in the senior center. Canva is such a phenomenal resource for us. We use it for so many things. Our stormwater mailer that we have to send out every year as part of our MS4 permit, we create that in-house through Canva, so we can save some time and money by doing it ourselves, and that's just a phenomenal resource that I would never want to live without. And then Facebook is our only social media that we use. I think at one point early on when we started doing Facebook, there was discussion about possibly doing Instagram and Twitter, and it just became, it was clear that doing Facebook was enough of a lift anyway. There's a lot going on for DPW, so being able to post on social media it takes a lot of time. We will post a lot of scheduled things. For example, stormwater, we have to post certain educational outreach materials throughout the course of the year and the season, either about, snow disposal or snow storage, things for commercial businesses, what to do with grass clippings, leaf litter, things like that, things that are seasonally appropriate. We will schedule those out over the course of the year to meet that educational outreach requirement. And then aside from the scheduled items, we'll send things out when there's delays or things of note. Derek, I don't know if I missed anything, and if you have something else to add.
Derek Adams, Environmental Affairs Coordinator. So we also get a lot of emails. I know that some of the other folks mentioned that, like just direct to us emails. That's a really good way for us to communicate because we have a log of everything that's said. We can go back and forth. Nobody says, you said this, I said that. Facebook is definitely huge. I do the trash and recycling, or I oversee it anyway, so the approach that I have and the philosophy that we generally have is just keep it as simple as possible, and there can only be one message because it gets way too confusing, anything more than that. Everything is updated either in real time or daily. Unlike, there's just a different, the DPW is like a city within a city because, let's take a fire, for example, in this hypothetical where nobody gets hurt, it's in an abandoned building. If people consume that news, they're gonna be like, gee, I hope everyone's okay, I hope it gets cleaned up real quick. Typically what we do is tell you your road's closed, your water's not on, or your trash is gonna be delayed getting picked up. So it's just a different nature of what the message that we typically have to put out there. So we try to be brief, we try to be explicit, and we try to be timely. And I think we do accomplish a lot of those things. Additionally, like hydrant flushing, we'll go neighborhood by neighborhood. We do that weekly, or even more so if we're jumping around. We try to, it's a difficult balance, but I think we accomplish it pretty well, where we want to get all the information out there, but from everything we already heard, there's a lot of information that doesn't even have anything to do with DPW that's already out there. So while I would like, and it'd be cool if we could put more out there for trash and recycling and this and that, we don't want it to get lost in the shuffle, especially the more important items. So that's a balance that I think we strike well, but we do have to strike it. So if you ever see a lack of a certain thing, it's not because we don't want to do it, it's because, for example, if we gave a robocall every time trash was delayed, recently Waste Management has been on a tough stretch, right? So even if it's one road, we put that online. Also with trash specifically, people can sign up for the alerts. We put it on Facebook, we put it on the news flash, we put it on the DPW news and announcements, and then I put it right at the top and center of the solid waste website, because that's the type of thing some people don't have Facebook. Some people go to the main website to get all of their news. Some people go right to DPW, and some people might go to the solid waste page. So there's just a lot, we cover all the bases as best we can. So it's just a constant, it's one long constant update of what's going on in town, pretty much.
They do a great job at that.
I mean, you wear a lot of hats. Waste, solid waste, stormwater, and social media.
Exactly.
And recycling.
Yeah, we could have our help too with the front office staff with social media.
Good, good.
Yeah, no, it's all good, yeah. We all work together.
Is there anything that either Liz or us as a subcommittee to do to better support you with your communication efforts?
Liz has already helped. I mean, I personally was unaware of the Newsflash Avenue before I met Liz. So I think that's been a big help. There's a couple of tweaks that we've been working through here and there. So that support's just going to probably remain, indefinitely. And from you guys, I think just any feedback you have, just let us know. And Jamie mentioned this the other night, where the town's so big, we always have eyes. We have a lot of employees. They're always driving around. They're always looking at stuff, but they're not everywhere all at once. And when an issue develops, it develops like that. And typically, it's a big issue that we want to solve right away, or at least put a cone on, or just maybe police has to go close that road. I don't know what it is. So just anytime you see anything, just let us or anyone on our team know so we can respond to it.
This is probably, I don't think this would work, but like senior center has the seniors, they have the board that oversees seniors, the libraries, the trustees. There's nothing really for the DPW or police or fire. Would an advisory board at all be helpful, or would it just be more work?
I think what we have is a pretty good thing. I think I'd leave it at that. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, what's the process for signing up, like for if you want to get emails, texts, things like that?
From what I understand, you go to the main website and then you're prompted it.
There's a notify me page on the main website, and you just go there, and then there's a list of different boards, committees, commissions, departments, projects, newsletters. There's a smorgasbord of different things that you can sign up for. It will prompt you if you want to put in your email and phone number, if you want to get texts and calls, or if you just want email. So there's a lot of different options, but yeah, it's pretty simple. You just go on and sign up. We have a lot of subscribers on the website.
Is that the standard kind of Brutus robocall? Like people, oh, no, this is a different one.
Two different systems.
Yes.
So the Notify Me is like the agendas for a board. I always tell people when they don't know what's going on with the town council, like if you just sign up for emails, you'll get the agendas, any actions taken, and at least, if you just scan it, it's 26 emails a year. Just take a look at it and you'll know pretty much what's going on in town from that. The regroup is a separate system. I think you've heard that, the software. Was generally done by the schools. They've always driven that because that's the system they use, I think, to get out to parents that subscribe in and out. So I think you have to go to the regroup site and you have to enter in, your information to get those alerts, and you can get those directly.
There's a link to sign up on the website.
We do have a feature in regroup where if there's a water main break, we can, as a staff, and we will typically do this, identify just people within that road network, that there's a sewer backup, there's a sewer break, there's a traffic detour, so the whole town doesn't get that. It's just targeted toward, I think it's called geofencing, if I recall correctly, and it's just targeted towards those specific areas. So that's something the staff will do because we have, we pay for a service through regroup that I believe comes from cable subscription data sets. We get it updated once a year, and so we get the best data that we can, which is about an 80%, 70%, 80% coverage. But if you don't have cable subscriptions and you're not part of that, then you've got to kind of sign up on your own. And I will say that typically when we do a regroup message, not if there's a sewer break, if it's something serious or something public safety oriented. Usually we don't do a lot of those regroup messages because we used to do them and then people unsubscribe, they get angry, they want to be taken off. And then when you really need an emergency, then you have fewer people on the system. So is that what you guys do?
Absolutely.
Regroup?
Yes, yeah. Yep.
Water, sewer,
Snow.
and snow.
It's important to not overuse that specific emergency alert platform because we don't want, like Derek said, people to tune it out. We want to basically, if
We want them to listen to the whole message.
Exactly.
Instead of hanging up on the
Yeah.
first 2 seconds.
and not think that it would apply to them or pertain to them, so.
So is there one, if I sign up, that it'll remind me that I don't have trash pickup on a given day?
Yep. There's a
Like
trash and
this movie?
recycling newsflash.
Like this
Yes.
weekend, yeah,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Did you put your trash out too early?
No, no. My daughter called me though because she's like, this is like the first year she's living on her own or whatever, and she's like, hey, I noticed nobody else put the barrels out.
When in doubt, leave it out. That's what we say. So.
Check the website, social media.
Show her how to sign up for all this.
I will,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Any other questions?
No question. No further questions.
All right, Max.
Yeah, just in terms of the list for the news flash, is it possible to, I mean, I don't think the annual census has phone numbers and email addresses, but could you cross-reference just to see who you're missing or who might have moved with the annual census?
I believe they sign up for it themselves, and
Yeah,
then that's
it's
just
a
the running-
subscriber
okay.
base.
I thought you were talking about some number system with, never mind, okay. Thank you.
Are you finding, I mean, since a lot of what you do is kind of that, like, hey, this needs to go out right now, are you finding that it's reaching the people that it needs to? I mean, since you have mostly, digital alerts, plus the robocalls if it's serious, but are you finding that there are people who are like, they're not online, so they're just not
That's
getting
certainly the
message?
case, yeah. And I get surprised at the folks, the demographics of who sometimes it's an older person, sometimes it's a younger person, and I'll get an email 2 days after trash away and say, hey, what was going on here? And they're on Facebook, but they didn't see it, and then they didn't check the website. So there is a gap that exists. How to capture it, I'm unsure, because some people only have their level of interest that they have for their level of interest.
Yeah, thank you. That's what I had a feeling about. I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you say, oh, we on the website and we put on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, all these things that people need to know that they might not know. And I was trying to think of ways, because a lot of times it's just, like you said, you make it very simple. It's just like a meeting. And so I was picturing like, okay, if we had, with all of our extra money, if we had, a screen at the senior center or at the library, that we had like some of those alerts that, like,
Right,
one
so I'm
place-
not sure if Kate mentioned it, but we do use the variable message boards.
It's a
Okay.
Franklin TV thing too.
Okay,
The
and that's what I'm
board
saying,
direction.
and then on Franklin TVS, so where you have those things there too. So I was gonna ask if we utilize those kind of methods as well.
Yeah, and I do think it's funneling down overall. We just still catch some people because with the welcome back that Kate mentioned, plus when somebody gets in a situation where they realize they didn't get an alert, they do what they have to do to make sure they get the next one.
Right.
Perfect. All right, yeah, because otherwise, I mean, you can't
Right.
reach the people you don't know about, and yeah.
Exactly.
All right, excellent, thank you.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks, Derek.
Yep, thank you.
Are we calling school committee?
Yeah, well, I think we can get to that.
I just meant as like a communication
I mean,
thing.
I don't know if Al or Steven want to talk about, I mean, the schools do a whole other set of communications. I don't know if you guys are interested in talking about that now, or you want to just wait till we pull up the, Gene?
I was just saying, could I make just a couple comments about the town administration communications?
Yeah, oh, please.
and stuff?
Yes, we will let
That's
you
okay.
talk too.
That's okay. That's okay. Just as like a little bit of a background in history, it's funny because when I was hired on December 17th, 2015, I remember being accosted by Councilor Jones and Councilor Kelly because there was this desperation that there was no communications effort happening at all. And as Ryan can remember, it was a very cumbersome process where if you needed to do a press release, you had to go through like this approval with the previous town manager, and it would take so long that like nothing ever went out. And when I say 10 years ago, there was literally one page online, and Ryan's story is accurate. It was like random people were like doing their own code. Like there was no website, there was no social media channels, there was no press releases, there was almost no news going out to anybody. And so when I got hired, they like jumped all over me that they were hiring me for this issue. As somebody who doesn't do social media, they hired me to do social media. So, you know, we did build out in 2016. We did go to Google, which was a huge improvement. I can't even tell you the email that we had before that. It was one of the worst systems. Remember that, Ryan? It was terrible. It was called First Class. It was free. And you know, Google changed a lot for all of us in terms of how we communicate internally, but also externally. We also that year did a full website overhaul, and we built out an actual website. And that was also the year we created the town Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube pages. We didn't have a YouTube page or any of that stuff. So we've come a long way. Over a few years, Superintendent Hellen and I, both the school committee were, you know, wanted to do more of this stuff. And so finally, Sarah and I talked, and we basically split a position in 2019 where we both paid 50% of the salary, and we hired somebody that was local at the time. Many of you maybe know her, Anne-Marie Tracy, who was unbelievable at what she did. She changed a tremendous amount here, created our constant contact files, we did newsletters, we had a whole, you'll see on the EDC, we had a business guide. I mean, she did an immaculate job, and we knew we couldn't keep her forever because she was so talented that she would end up going off into corporate America and making a ton of money, which is what happened during the pandemic. We also did we did Franklin TV shows. In the old days, we did podcasts, we did TV shows in the studio. We had department heads did interviews with myself and Steve and others at what they do in their departments to help tell their story. And so we really tried in 2016 to like 2019 till Anne-Marie got here. You know, it was kind of myself, Steve, and a few other people just trying to get out the word, and Franklin TV was really great. When Anne-Marie left, we were able to hire Lily Rivera, who unfortunately after a couple years, she was our communications person as well, and then due to the budget cuts, she had to get laid off. So. And then Amy Frigiletti, the other deputy town administrator, had a background in communications, and so we just triaged things after the pandemic the best we could with the staff that we have. But some of the successes we have had, and Steve and I just taped a podcast today, and he's saying that, and he'll get up and say it in a little bit, but I think I've done over 100 podcast episodes at Talk Franklin. They're on Spotify, they're all over the place. We do still have a few hundred people that listen to it pretty consistently. We started a LinkedIn page. We have a town LinkedIn page, which has been, you know, up and down due to the staffing constraints. At one point, we were putting all new hires up. We were doing job recruitment postings on LinkedIn. We were doing a lot of, I know the schools were doing recruitment on LinkedIn to try to get the word out. Ultimately, in municipal circles, LinkedIn is a very, very big deal. And so that's been a success, and Liz has brought life back to our LinkedIn page. In the citizen survey that was linked in here, we did have a couple custom questions on where people get their news, where people get information. You notice in there 15% don't do any digital or any social media, right? So over the years, we had a town and manager column in the town news that goes to everybody's mailbox. And some of that has dropped. Judy and I have a great relationship. We'll do articles when she hears something or I hear something, but it's something with Liz being here, I hope to get on a more monthly or bi-monthly basis so that people can get updates. I think the town news newspaper is a really big deal. It goes to every household in town. People kind of fiddle through it. It's kind of at dentist's office, mortgage offices, and just like on tables around the community. So I think that that's something that we've had a great relationship over the years. I do personally a lot of interviews on My FM, the radio station. And I'm still stunned at how many people comment on the clips. I think also Franklin Matters publishes a lot of those clips. And so when I do that, usually that gets out there. Obviously over my 11 years here, or maybe not obviously, attendance and a personal presence from our staff, as I think you can see everybody here, but even the whole team is very present at a lot of town events. My presence at things has waned a little bit over the last few years just because of scheduling and being busy. All the civic events, downtown beautification. But when I first got here for the first 5, 6, 7 years, Jeff was very, very present at a lot of events. I was present at a lot of events. I've done a lot of volunteerism in town, at Delcart and a variety of other places, just trying to get out there and just try to connect with folks. And the social media channels I've watched since the start. I will say, obviously, Facebook is where a lot of people are at. I think one thing that we're going to try to work on is trying to get our posts on some of what Sean was mentioning earlier, and just trying to get them into the other town Facebook groups. I think it's something that would be very certainly helpful. But I will say, I think Twitter is dead. It's just, when it first started, we got those 3,000, 4,000 followers like right away, and it's plateaued for like 7, 8 years. I feel like it's just not really, we've not seen really the great return on investment, I think, through a few of the social media channels. I think as previous folks have talked, there's almost a point at which you're spending so much time doing all this that you wonder to yourself, how much is it really getting out there, and is it really hitting people in the white noise of what's out there? And I think some of the social media stuff has just hit kind of a dead end, particularly on X. I think YouTube, Town Hall, Franklin TV, YouTube has been obviously a blessing. Our YouTube page, we just have not been able to gain traction. We used to put a lot of the old clips from Franklin TV on there and some promotional things. And we did for a while when Anne Marie and Lily was here, and Liz, I hope we'll get on this too a little bit, the website, Google Analytics. We did have a lot of data sets, and we were reporting to various boards at certain times about where our hits were on the website and other stuff. I think that's something we'd love to try to continue to track, but obviously with staff constraints, it's just something that we weren't able to stay fully on top of. When we started in 16, and then the website redesign in, what was it, 24, Julie, I think maybe last year, 2025?
We rolled it out in
January 25. We were trying to track like where are people going, and is there something we can do better. That's a very, very short list. I already mentioned when Councilor Grella brought it up, but to notify me and getting the email alerts, another big one was not just the town council agendas, but the legal ads, right? I always tell people, because I think one of the complaints we hear the most is, I didn't know what was going on, right? It's just this broad, like abstract, like I didn't know something was coming up. We got special legislation approved a couple years ago, and I really appreciate Jeff Roy's help on this. I didn't think it would pass, but we're actually now saving like $30,000 or $40,000 in the budget because we don't have to do legally mandated printed ads in the newspaper. By the way, there is no newspaper left to do the ads, so there is no actual defined newspaper as what was defined in state law. I think Acton got one passed and we got one passed, and I think there are going to be other cities and towns to do this. But if you sign up for the legal ads free of charge, you'll get every single legal ad that's required. So that and the town council agendas and some of the other notify me, I think one of the things that the subcommittee can be helpful with is encouraging people that if they just say we don't know what's going on, we understand that. Communication these days is very challenging because there's just so much noise out there. But we have dedicated email subscription lists. I don't know about you guys, but I'm on seemingly I get like 500 emails from, Nordstrom Rack, LL Bean, everything. And I never unsubscribe them because there's always that email that says there's like a 35% off sale, right? And then when it's that, and then right when it matters, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go jump on and buy new pants, right? And so I think getting people on those lists, while it does flood the inbox, especially just being, knowing that families are so stretched thin with time, if they're just on some of these basic emails, they can at least just check them quick. And there's gonna be something on some agenda sometime where they're gonna go, oh, okay, this matters to me. I now know what's kind of going on. So we've created these systems. I think the staff have articulated a lot of that. But even up in the municipal building, our social media accounts generally are for the agencies in this building. I mean, generally what we do is try to put stuff on the town page that, because we didn't want Board of Health, Planning, Conservation, TA, have 10 Facebook, Twitter accounts that have 14 followers for just one little small department. The town clerk, treasurer, collector, when bills go out, we've tried to consolidate that so that at least we have more followers getting more information on just some of the social media pages that we have. And the last quick thing I'll say is Facebook has been tough. We set up the account poorly and we got locked out of our account during the pandemic a lot. It was a big pain in the butt. And I appreciate Liz's efforts on creating a new page with like a new system and a new brand because it did get really screwed up. When we had to attach the account to real people and the staffing transitions happened, it just got really mucked up. And Facebook thought we were bots that were screwing around with the account when Anne Marie set it up, and then it became Lily, and then it was me, and then Julie, and then I think you actually bared the biggest brunt of this at one point.
Yeah.
And then you got rid of your Facebook account, like at home, like your personal, and the whole thing just really just flamed out. So there have been some problems with the Facebook account over the years. And if you look at the survey, obviously a majority of people, that's where they're getting a lot of information, which is fine. I know Councilor Callaway-Tripp is a big fan of Facebook. But I think, those have been, I think, some of the things that we've tried to do out of our office and the municipal building over the last, 9-10 years. And I know Steve probably wants to talk about Franklin TV a little bit, but Franklin TV has been a huge player in this. Those boards that you're talking about, those TVs, are actually purchased by Franklin TV. And one of the things we've tried to do over the years, and it's been moderately successful, but there's only a few people involved, so bandwidth is an issue, is trying to get job openings, other announcements, and a variety of other stuff on those boards so that they're also on Franklin TV. So when there's free public ad space, the most up-to-date information that we can get out via Franklin TV, which a lot of people watch. We've tried to figure out how to streamline the systems a little bit to figure out how we can do that, but it's still on the docket, but we haven't been perfect at it, but we've been trying to make some sort of headway and that type of stuff. So appreciate the few minutes, and it's been a long road, and I think we've made a lot of improvements over 10 years, but obviously there's still a long way to go. So happy to answer any questions that folks may have. Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
Of course I do. But first, for your email thing, you create a separate email for all of those store accounts, so that way you don't have to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. You just once a week go to them. That's what you do. I have multiple email accounts. When you sign up for things online, you have to put in an email. I do that because I know they're going to start calling me.
Yeah.
So you just have to separate the email so you know which one
There's
you're looking
another way, I can tell you another way, but we'll talk about it later.
No, I'm glad that we're back on Facebook, and yes, I am a Facebook fan, because most people are very comfortable on Facebook. They're not comfortable doing emails, they're not comfortable being on a microphone, they're not sure who to call, but most people are very comfortable going into a page and saying, hey, guess what, or do you know? You just have to look at the information and say, okay, is it true, is it false? If it is, you go find out the information. But I like it because even now, I was very active on Facebook the last few years. I slowed down since November because I kind of had to. But I still follow all the groups. I don't even know how many Franklin groups I'm involved in, plus other towns. And I read comments and I read posts because just like the email that I sent you. It's something that you see, and depending on what it is, it gives us the ability to get out in front of it before it explodes. And if we can do that, we prevent the crisis, we prevent 50,000 emails going to everybody in town, your email blowing up, because we can actually get in front of an issue that's starting on social media that's town related, and we can maybe address it not on social media, but we can address it so we diffuse it if it's something that can escalate. If it's a general, real thing, maybe we didn't know about it, so guess what? Now we do. So I think social media, as much as it can be a thorn in our sides, it really is the main area to get your information today. And I don't do Twitter because when I did Twitter one time, realized there was a character limit and I didn't like that. So I stopped using it because you're not going to tell me how many lines I can type. So I've basically always been social media, and I think that in communicating, like the robocalls are great for emergencies, emails are great, all of that is fantastic, but I think we have so many more people that are actually on social media than not, that I think we could get to more people if we approach that area.
May I ask why you stopped?
Stopped what?
Or limited? So, I mean, I feel like why have you not been on social media? Like, I feel like in some ways.
I'm on social media.
Like,
I'm not engaging. In other words,
are you posting our budget hearings? Like, are you? Like,
No.
I don't even know.
Nope, not right now. And the reason I haven't is because before I was elected on council, I was that voice on Facebook that literally probably gave you an aneurysm.
I'm
Just
totally
saying.
healthy and fine. There was no aneurysm.
But I was the one that was out there very loud spoken, saying what I wanted to say, and then I'd come and repeat it here, or vice versa. I took a step back because now as a council, I want to pay attention, but I haven't put a lot of stuff out yet because I don't want to end up being in a situation that previous people on council found themselves in, because they were acknowledging stuff that they were doing, and then when you ask them a question, they didn't know the answer. So for me, I take the information. If there's something that I know I can't answer honestly, I will go in and do it. But I haven't done any of that stuff at this point because a lot of the other there's other pages that are posting all that. So like to post there's in a meeting or whatever, it's already out there. So it's redundant. What I want to get to a point, and like I said, still new, still kind of getting used to it, I want to get to a point where I can engage more on social media, but I also have to figure out the line. Because there is a line that I'm no longer just a resident, I am on council. There is a line that you can't cross.
And I'll help you with that.
And I don't want to cross that line because I don't like to break the rules. So, I'm still trying to find that balance. But like, I will literally read everybody, I will see a post, I will read, there might be 400 comments, I will read every comment, skim through them, because I want to know what everyone's thinking, what they're feeling, what's going on, why are you mad, why are you happy? Like, I will look into it and I keep all that knowledge because that's how you know where they're thinking. And everyone kept saying, we gotta get off social media, we gotta get off social media. It's not gonna happen because social media is here. So you have to embrace it. And if you wanna know how people feel, just like surveys can help to a point if you can reach enough people and a variety of people, not all like the same like-minded people. Like if you have a group that all like this, they're gonna answer pretty much the same way. You need to get the people that are angry. Those are the ones that need to answer those surveys. When you go on Facebook, you get those people, you see their anger, you see their hurt, you see why they're mad, what's making them upset, because they're posting it and they're free to post it. And some, you have the anonymous feature, so they can now do it without any repercussions because the only one that knows who that anonymous person is who's ever adminning that page. So it gives them a little bit more security to go out and type what they need to type and get the information they need. So I think we really need to embrace it and utilize that for what it's worth, because there's a lot of information out there from the residents in Franklin if you're following those posts. And I'm on so many pages, to the point that I don't even see any of my friends' posts anymore, at all. Even my sister's like, well, how come you haven't liked my posts? Haven't seen them in months. I have at least 10 or 15 Franklin pages. I got Bellingham, Milford, Millis, Norfolk, Grantham, and I don't even know what other ones. So my social media is literally just all the towns. I don't know what anybody else is doing, because I don't see them anymore. But I do think social media, I think Facebook is probably going to be one of the biggest assets that we have.
You go first.
I just wanted to, just a quick comment, because a couple of the departments had said like, oh, we would, like the rec center is like, hey, we can get our stuff posted on other Facebook pages. I admin a town Facebook page, and I am really bad at like seeing it until someone else posts it in mine. So I was like, I was thinking as you guys were saying this, what we do need to do is figure out how to get the town posts, the department posts on the different pages. And obviously, I'm not a good example of doing that, but it's a Franklin family page, and so that's the people who should be seeing some of these things. So I will, Max likes to ask you guys what we can do to support you. I can do that. I can make a point to, when I see the Franklin posts, to put them at least on my page and try to share them to some of the other ones as well.
I just want to say one thing too, if I can quickly interrupt you. I know everyone's saying that you should be putting posts on other community pages from a town account, and that's not a best practice, because we can't monitor that comment. We can't monitor the page, so we don't know what's going on that page, and that could spread even more misinformation or disinformation. So that's not a best practice, and it will be in the policy for staff at least not to be posting in other non-department, non-official town pages. But for like town council who are trying to gauge what the conversation is and what's going on in other Facebook groups and other neighborhood community groups, I think that is important, at least to acknowledge what's going on there. And then, like you said, bring the conversation to and address it on an official source, which is the town's website or the town's social media pages, which is an official source of information, so that we're correcting whatever misinformation or giving them the resources that they need to find that information or contacts. So I think just wanted to clarify that a best practice in that we don't want to spread or we don't want to contribute to misinformation or kind of making it something where it's a molehill. We're making a mountain out of a molehill. I don't want to, that kind of a thing, and that's why it's not really a best practice.
Can I ask you a question about that? So it seems to me like, at least, in my feed, I think I get more posts from the groups that I'm in, on my regular page than I see from the pages that I follow. So if I'm not seeing something from the DPW because it's, the algorithm has those things showing up less frequently than the groups that I'm active in, I feel like not sharing those to different pages, even if it's not a best practice, I feel like you're missing a lot of potential communication. But it also sounds like a lot of these departments, they're not monitoring the conversations on their own pages anyway, so I don't see how it's any different if they have comments open, but they're not monitoring them, then how's that any different than sharing it into a different, I don't know, can we start speaking?
Because we have our own social media policy that should be on every social media platform that is an official town platform, and we have archiving public records requests, open meeting law violations, all those things that we're held to, so that we need to make sure that we're keeping track of what's going on our platforms. We can't archive or have public records requests when it's not a page that we monitor. So when we're posting in another group, we don't have those records. We can't monitor consistently those posts and that information.
So, I mean, that's gonna happen anyway though, right? Because like people who are not town employees are gonna be sharing things that they see. Like there's a
Yeah.
Vote Franklin page where they're, I mean,
That's
anything
okay,
they see.
as long as it's not a town employee that is doing it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I just wanted to know, I don't know if this is for later in the discussion, but, you know, we talked about each sort of department has their own information, their own email addresses, their own Facebook page. What opportunity is there for you as the sort of the person in charge of marketing to cross-pollinate across departments? Another example is like, you know, I for my own website, I use HubSpot, and it has everyone's email address and then there's different permissions that if you had multiple users, different people could have different permissions, see different stuff, and people across an organization, entire organization can say, okay, this person can see this person can see that, or I could see, you know, if you're the town administrator, you could say, okay, I see, you know, Joe Smith called the DPW about this issue, but they also talked to the senior center about this issue. Is it helpful to have a unified system where you can see what people are doing across the town while preserving privacy, of course?
Via email or social media?
Like I'm talking like a CMS, like a content management system, or what's it called? So there's like Civic Plus. Does that, you know, DPW, they take a ticket, you know, someone calls them, emails them, they get a ticket. Can other departments use the same platform to see what's going on across the town? Is that helpful at all, or is it just not really useful?
I think we're really good at collaborating interdepartmentally when there's something that would impact other departments. And I say that because I see every department do that, work with each other when there is an issue that may involve. They work with each other all the time. Police and fire work together, DPW. I mean, they're all intertwined. So I feel like usually they're pretty good about communicating internally when there is something like that. But I don't know if that exists or if it's really like a necessary.
Yeah, if it's not necessary,
thing.
don't do it. I just know that a lot of organizations have like a unified platform for keeping track of customer complaints or tickets or whatever.
We tried See-Click Fix maybe 10 years ago, and it just didn't work because people put a ticket in and then they're like, okay, when are they showing up? Right? When's DPW coming down here? Tick, 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 right? And it's like, you know, and then we had to train staff to like use a platform that wasn't being very responsive. You know, I think to Liz's point, I mean, there might be a module in Civic Plus, and we can have Julie take a look and just see if there is some sort of content management system that maybe can be expanded out, and just to see if there's something that they are available to. But I mean, I highly doubt any of the departments are gonna go into that system and then check and see if something else has been said. Our Access GIS platform, I will say, does have a lot of information in it. And it does cross-pollinate between assessors, licenses, permits, so you can go to a parcel and get a whole bevy of information on the parcel. I think one of a little bit tangentially to what you're commenting on, Councilor Morrongiello, is what we need help in is getting people off, not that they can't use Facebook and not that it's a good platform to get people's feelings. What's troubling is people are bitching about trail maintenance on Facebook with no one watching it, and they're just rolling in their own, just, you know, it's like, just pick up the phone, shoot an email, contact some, you know, I think where you guys can help a lot is trying to encourage people to use the resources we already have. Like, I haven't even sent you a link to the GIS system that we have, which I've got a draft email. There is so much personal property information, deeds, everything is in one stop on this place. And people always ask me, like, how do you know so much about every property in town? It's like, it's right there. I go in and I read it, right? And when I show people that exists, their minds are blown. I think trying to connect people to the systems we've already built, and it's not anything against Facebook, but I know the complaining happens a lot there. But what's frustrating is those complaints don't really get directed to the people that are going to solve sometimes the issue, right? And you know, I think our staff and myself and everybody are extremely responsive to people in a very timely manner with sometimes maybe too much information. But I think trying to connect those dots and have people get in touch with us to try to help on this type of stuff would be really helpful. But we'll take a look at Civic Plus and see if there is a CMS system.
And the other part of that was, you know, you each have all these email lists and text lists. And I know you gotta have people opt into them so they don't flag you as spam. But if there's a way to, like, you know, if you have someone in the library who wants to opt into the senior center list, like making that an option to them, email them, hey, you know, you're a member of the library, do you want to opt into the senior center too?
Yeah.
You know, just so we can expand, each department can expand their own lists a little bit more.
You can take a look at that type of stuff. Sure, absolutely.
It's about putting like resources in different departments, different buildings, right?
That helps too. Any way you can cross-pollinate, you know, get people to sign up for other departments, communications.
I think you guys have a lot of pull too
Yeah.
in getting people to sign up for,
Yeah.
you know.
And maybe that's part of it. It's like a campaign from like the school committee and the counselors or other and other boards too, the council on aging, like to try to do a series of posts, you know,
Or
over
videos, yeah.
videos over a full week and all the time and repeating and just saying, just a reminder, you can sign up here for listserv, you know, and just trying to. That is something we've struggled to do. Obviously, Liz is here now and we'll work on that. But that's been the biggest struggle, is just getting people connected to the information that already exists and like the email, the content that already is there.
Is it legal within the law, and do we have the budget for it, to have like a $25 Franklin First gift card for randomly selected from new signups for email lists?
I'm okay to that.
I don't know.
It's like a.
It may be.
It's like a raffle.
Well, don't say raffle, it's enter to win. Legally, it can't be a raffle.
I don't know.
But you also want to make sure you get valid people, so you do got to be a little careful. But I think that if there's a way to incentivize it, it's within the deal.
But it's like also doing it at events and the Strawberry Stroll and Porch Fest and like at tables and being like,
Totally.
sign up here, and if you do that, you get a sticker, you know, and people do it to get a sticker.
Yeah.
So that's how you
I
do
do
it.
for a sticker.
Right?
I would-
Candy?
I didn't even know you had one
If you
YouTube
have
page.
chocolate, I'm there.
That's right. That's what I'm saying.
Well, candy?
Yeah.
Strawberry
There are
Stroll, candy and
methods.
stickers.
Stickers, I got
Yield.
All right, Ben Franklin.
Jamie, you mind if I say one more thing?
I know.
Yeah.
So, Max, I think we kind of already have like an internal work order system, whether we were talking about Civic Plus, and that's just through the Google Calendar. So there's two types of things that we really encounter when it's in between departments, and that's like an immediate thing. And just a couple weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, DPW gets a call that a 5-gallon jug of chlorine fell off the back of the truck. So before I hang up the phone, I say to Roseanne, call the fire department and have them meet me up there. When I pull up, he's pulling up right beside me, and we dealt with it that way. And then the other thing we get is like Ryan and I working through either Earth Day or any other event that comes up for like, we need a dumpster, we need some trash cans. That's just a calendar invite. And then I send it to him, and then we put it on the books, and then we can, there's so much stuff that comes in, you can forget about it until your phone dings 15 minutes before, and then you just go to the meeting. So we kind of already have that situation going on.
And one last thing is there any interest in doing paid reach, or are we strictly doing organic?
I don't believe ads are something I don't know the legal.
Well, I will say on your next CDC agenda next week, one of the work plan topics was like marketing. So Corey's going to come and talk about the upcoming events, because there are a lot in the next 6 weeks, but then also it kind of blends into this broader issue of marketing, right? I know that we can do some paid ads, you know, on, like if you're talking about social media posts and stuff. I think we've tried those in the past in a couple different departments. I think we tried them in ours when Anne Marie was here. I think it was Anne Marie, it wasn't Lily, I can't remember. I don't think it was Lily. We did try some like during the pandemic. I think we used a sliver of pandemic money to try to get out messaging on pandemic related issues. You know, it just could be obviously costly, but when we talk about marketing, this might be one of the issues to try to discuss if you want to use our small marketing budget, I think of $10,000. I think Facebook ads are going to blow through that budget pretty quickly, but that's something that I think we can do. If you don't think
I know about job, like hiring, and that's typically a good way to use ads. And I know a lot of companies and a lot of municipalities that hire consultants to do just that when they're looking to fill a large position. So, yeah, I don't know, I'll have to look into that, but.
I trust your judgment. I just want to say it is on the table from my perspective, you know, but as long as, you know, used wisely and helps get the message out for something important. So, I yield.
Just another thought. You're talking about getting the message out. Have we ever done a town table at the farmer's market?
I think the first couple of years we did. Again, it's like a bandwidth thing. I think, and don't please, the citizens around the community love to see us, but honestly, we interact with people a lot. People interact with us a lot. I think they're looking for folks from the school committee, maybe some of the other town boards to be there. And I think there is a table at the Strawberry Stroll.
Yep.
I think many of you have signed up. I think that has been, in my experience with other counselors going to those things, been the biggest bang for your buck. We did have a table the first couple of years of the farmer's market. This is maybe 8 years ago now. It was pre-pandemic, I think. We did have some interaction up there. And we did have some, and counselors did go. Counselor Morrongiello went up a bunch of times. We actually did some like community visioning charrettes up at the farmer's market, some engagement with maps. So Kate Hinckley printed out a bunch of maps. We went out there and did some engagement with people about development. All those things are at our disposal too. If you all want maps and you want to talk about where to put new growth, where to put development, just to get some idea of what citizens are talking about, we have done those up at the farmer's market before. But obviously bandwidth the last few years has become, really thin. And so it's been hard to get a large crowd from the town staff to be up there in the afternoon. Obviously, we close at 1, technically. I know some staff. I know Kate Hinckley's been up there before. I know the DPW did a booth at the farmer's market a couple times. There has been some engagement over the years up at the farmer's market.
Because I was just thinking, as far as like the notify me and having something so that, here you go, this is what you click on, these are all your options.
Mm-hmm.
People, it's a way of getting it out there for anybody who isn't aware of it.
Sure.
Yeah,
Get an iPad or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we have a town iPad that we have and,
Yep. And
Actually, if you want one for the stroll, we can get you a council dedicated iPad. Really, a council dedicated iPad or Liz can handle it. Just use it wherever people are going and get people to sign up and do that kind of stuff. Absolutely.
that's a great idea.
that,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're not sure how, we can at least show them, I know how to get there because I'm on it.
I think that's what people want today, right?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
show, do it.
Do it. Walk me through it right here and then let me walk away and it's done. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
So we could get something like that, that would be good.
Yeah.
I probably won't be at every farmer's market, but I am attempting to go to as many as I can. So if it's something that we could have to do it, when I go, if I'm up there, I have no problem saying, hey, you want to sign up, you know what I mean? It's just a way of getting more people so they know
That's awesome.
what's
Yeah.
going on. You just have to have the ability to do it.
I thought candy and stickers was good enough, but
But I
well,
was-
the iPad
I
was
think
add
a little
much
for
bigger.
I think there's
chocolate, so.
add like entice them with the candy and stickers.
And by the way.
And then, please also.
And by the way, you have to sign up, yeah.
But then you get the sticker.
That Tootsie Rolls, yeah.
Any other questions?
No, good.
All right, good, thank you. All right. Well, you gave us the link. We talked about the national survey. We don't need to go into anything more. That was just for our information.
Just wanted to make sure everybody was aware that there was 2 or 3 questions in there with some good data, I think, that shows partly the challenge that we all know too, is like people are just getting their information from a lot of different places. And it's just hard, obviously. When we were all growing up, everybody watched Dan Rather or Peter Jennings, right? And they all got the same information from like the same place. But now it's just so splintered, and you can see it even in the data sets. 10% of the public still wanted newspapers. We don't have any left. So.
Yeah, I just want to say about the community survey. I know you have the ability for custom questions. When I did the survey, I did put my own survey out on Facebook after one of the override campaigns about trust and that kind of stuff. And one of the questions I had that the survey didn't have was partisanship. And it's a very touchy subject. I don't know if you could put it on a town survey, but it was a very significant variable as to how people trusted the town. So I think that by not having that question, you're omitting some important information as to what you can control for and figure out about the population. So just for something to consider, I also want to make sure people take the survey. They don't think, oh, what's this? But I just think that it's something that was relevant for sort of understanding where everyone was coming from as part of the town. So.
I think you could lose a lot of trust by putting that question.
Yeah,
out
no, it's
there.
true. It's true.
Yeah, I mean.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So we have two little pieces of the rest of the agenda that I want the school committee, because we have Stephen McCann from the school committee, community relations subcommittee here, and Al Charles is on Zoom, the chair of the school committee community relations subcommittee. And so the couple things, like the next thing on our agenda is the town council office hours follow-up discussion. And that's one of the reasons I invited you all here was because when we had talked about this at our first meeting about making some additional town office hours, because right now they are once a month, I think Thursday mornings at like 8:30 to 9:30 is meeting at the senior center. And of course, for people who work regular business hours and business week, that's a really hard time to make. Also, as wonderful as the senior center is, sometimes there are people who are like, oh, I don't know if I'm, supposed to be there, if that's a place that, that's for me or not for me. So we reached out to a couple, we had a conversation about making some other office hours that we would commit to attending. Again, it would be one additional one a month. We wouldn't all have to be there, but one of the four of us at least would be there. We wanted to also invite school committee members, any other town departments that wanted to come. So we reached out to a couple of places. The library has said that they have some Wednesday evenings or some Saturdays. I think it's like the third Saturday of the month starting in July. Because again, we were looking for evening opportunities, weekend opportunities, just different times. And Colin has said that some of the schools might be able to give us some spaces. I told him I just need a corner of a cafeteria because we don't want to ask them to set up anything or change anything. And I talked to Rowan at the Historical Museum, and she's going to talk to the Historical Commission and make sure that that's okay first. But again, having different places around town, different parts of town, different days and times available, we thought we might be able to reach more people. And we wanted to make sure that this was not just strict, as despite what the agenda says, not just town council office hours, but like town office hours, school committee, different departments, anyone who, if there's something going on where they're getting a bunch of discussions or something, that they know that they can also join this. So, did you all have anything you wanted to say about that, or any thoughts or anything?
I think it's a good idea, definitely.
One thing that I was interested in is working with Laura Dew to see if we could do maybe something with the food pantry.
Yeah, that would be good too. I mean, like for an office hours?
For an office hour.
Okay. They don't.
We're not. Well, we have to work with them to figure what's appropriate.
Okay.
Because I don't know if we want to respect people's privacy and stuff too. But
Yeah.
But I think that it's a group of people that have been underrepresented in the town.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there might be something where, yeah, we could set up a thing outside or something that people could talk to us. I mean, there's not a lot of like meeting space inside the food pantry.
There's a conference room.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's a good suggestion too. We can reach out to more. All right. Stephen and Al, I want to. Oh, yeah, Al, you have your hand raised. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So first of all, thank you for the invite. Definitely appreciate this for this collaboration. I do agree that this is a great idea to have another venue at a different time during the evening hours. My only suggestion would be that we have some level of consistency. The senior center meetings work well because it's predictable. It's at the same time, same location, same cadence. So it's very difficult to say, oh, well, if this week it's over here, or if the time has changed. So as long as we have some consistency, I think that will help make it successful. But it definitely something that the school committee could support. May not be Stephen or Nadia, it could be somebody else out of the seven of us, but we'll make sure that we get somebody to have some coverage to support.
Thanks for that. I know that, asking some of the other departments to host like once a month might be, asking an awful lot. So, I mean, if we're talking about consistency, if we had a rotating schedule of like, it's once a quarter it goes here, I mean, that wouldn't be necessarily, it wouldn't be every month we're at the same place, but it would be, okay, the first month of the quarter we're at a school, or, I mean, do you think that that is consistent enough? I mean, I want to make sure that we are opening up different locations and different days and different times to reach people. Like, again, maybe Wednesday night isn't a great time, but maybe Saturday morning is. And so, but maybe for someone else, they can't do weekends because they have kids' sports things or something. So, wanting to vary it was part of the, I think part of the intention. So, but I also want to make sure that, if this is something that we are partnering on, that we're kind of, figuring out what makes the most sense. So, any thoughts on that, Al?
Yeah, I mean, we can try. There's nothing wrong with trying. We're not set in stone in how it works. So if we were changing different venues at different times, we can try that. I think it's just something to be mindful of. That's all.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And I think if you try like a few different ones, eventually you're gonna see like, oh, you know what, this one works really well.
Everyone comes to the library, no one comes to
Exactly.
the school cafeteria. Like, yeah, you're right. Okay. Steve.
Yeah. Thanks for the opportunity. It's a great meeting to collaborate for the community relations. So just wanted to quickly touch upon different communication that we have from schools. Schools have the most, most media of communications. Like we do a lot of newsletters from the individual schools. We do the school committee newsletters, and then we had an office hour this year. In this year March, we had an office hour set up alongside of a hot show so that we could meet people and have some conversation. That was around the budget time, so we had some conversation there. And also we have other forms of communications like the early release communication that goes in email as well as in text. And we are also trying to see, I was talking to the superintendent if we can do it in the push notification through our app that we have. So we also monitor the app traffic as well as the web traffic that we have during our community relations subcommittee meeting every month, just to see how we are, what is the trend that we are seeing, and if there is a uptrend, then we see maybe something related to buses going on. So we get some ideas of which is which is not being looked up by our families. And also social media, we have Facebook and I think Twitter, the X, and I don't see anything on the Insta, but Facebook is about 4K users, and X is about 3.8K users. So we have a good, and we post almost all the important communications. Like even today, there were a couple of communications about the pathway stream education that we are introducing, and we had some meeting with some of the partners, and also we had some the solutions newsletters that is going in. So because there was some not a lot of traction on the enrollments, we are trying to boost or using these different channels. So multiple ways we are trying to see. But this meeting, I really appreciate to see all the other departments, and I'm really thinking through how we can collaborate. Like if there is a library email that is being sent, I don't know how much is being sent, but if there is a link that can be attached to a school committee newsletter that goes along to the almost 4,000 students' families, right? So that goes to the families, and they can see there's a library newsletter that can also be looked at. It's at the same time, we can also see how we can collaborate with the recreation department newsletter that can be in the interest of people, right? With the kids and families, they can get more benefit. I'm trying to see how we can collaborate and get details, cross-pollinate details between these departments so that we can have a better reach. So it's all about the reach, so we'll have a better reach, and that will help everyone. So that's something I'm getting out of this meeting, and we'll see how to work on that and get this implemented across the departments.
Excellent, thank you.
That's one of my goals for sure, to really integrate the different departments, streamline communications, and get more visibility throughout all the different departments, and schools included, like leveraging the different newsletters and the different events going on, and just kind of share the wealth of all the good, amazing things that all of our staff members are doing every day with amongst all different parts of our community. So we're going to put our brains together and figure out a really good plan. So that's part of the strategic communication plan that I'm creating.
Absolutely, and we are also there in the strawberry stall, and we can also be partnering with you if you need any help on getting the sign-ups done, so we can handouts and all those things, and we have some handouts for us, so we can hand out this as well.
The school committee is really good at always having a table at those events. I just want to say, Susan, I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to skip you when we were talking about the departmental communications. I just wasn't expecting you to want to be put on the spot when you hadn't had to, you've been invited, or not, we hadn't reached out to you to ask you to do that, so thank you for including that. Max, you have a question?
Yeah, this is for Liz. Is it possible, you're familiar with the Linktree? Is it possible to have a Linktree with all the latest newsletters from all the departments that each department could put as a link on their newsletter? So like, if the senior center has a link on the newsletter, it links to the Linktree, and then they could go to see all the other newsletters through that link.
I think Linktree is, if I'm not wrong, I think it's for Instagram, right? Is it typically meant for Instagram?
Well, something like it, yeah.
So I think a lot of the newsletters, library newsletter, and also I'm sure recreation and senior center, I think they all have their own social media channels included on their newsletters, also as well as on their social media pages and on their website pages, and probably the other websites they use to send information out, or their emails, they probably have linked in there with their social media handles and links. So I don't know if it's like Linktree specific, or if it's just making sure that all of the
Basically, just have a link to all the other links of all the other town newsletters. They're just like updated regularly.
Like a page of
of links.
Departmental communications or something. And then
Put something on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good place to put it on the website for sure.
Build a page out that
The latest
It
stuff.
has all the social media. Yes, yeah, that'd be great actually, and that's how a lot of other municipalities do the same thing, where they have a list of, these are all of our platforms, follow us,
Use a short URL.
I couldn't get on there today, it must have been a firewall, so I'm like, it's just too long, but yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone?
It's a good idea.
Okay. Anything else on office hours?
No, I think that for right now, it's going to be a matter of random places, different time slots to see what's going to make the most sense. And like Jean said, after a while, you're going to kind of figure it out, and then we can lock it down, but we don't know what's going to work best for anybody right now because we haven't done this.
Yeah.
I know the office hours that we have now, I can't get to. There's no way for me to ever attend them at 8:30 in the morning. So I've never been able to go to one, even when I wasn't on council. So I like the fact being able to have some that are, early evening or like on a weekend once in a while. I think there might be people that will show up, but they can't. And if you have kids, you're not getting there at 8:30 in the morning. You're lucky if you got your shoes on by the time you bring your kids to school.
Or you might have your shoes on, the kids don't.
I used to take Hensley in my slippers, so you know what? It's like, we're just gonna go. No one's gonna see me in the car. And we're running out the door. And so there was no way for me to even attend at that time in the morning because you just can't. So by only having them, I understand why they are, but you're actually alienating large portions of people who may want to attend. Maybe nobody does, but we won't know till we try.
The one other thing I wanted to just mention, and it might not be an issue, I don't think it is, but right now, the third week of the month is when we do the current office hours. And so if we wanted to do the Saturdays in the library, that's the same week. So it would be 2 days after the ones here. And so of course, oh wait, yes.
Sorry.
Are you correcting me? Am I wrong?
So Saturdays are definitely busy and booked at the library, but like if we have enough leeway or runway to set it up, like especially if it was going to be for like maybe in the summer, but towards the end of the summer or the fall, we definitely have more flexibility to put in like, and especially especially if it's gonna be a regularly occurring thing, we could make it the second Saturday or the first Saturday or whatever it is, but like, there's some flexibility there.
Okay, great, thank you. Well, okay, then maybe that's not an issue. I just wanted to make sure, like, if we do happen to have one here at a time and then one at a different location at a different time, if having it in the same week, is that a bad idea? Or is it like, well, if someone's not gonna be able to attend on a Thursday morning, they might be able to attend on a Saturday, and so it doesn't matter if it's the same week?
Okay, so here's a thought, back to social media. What if, just for, I know it's not gonna touch everybody, but on the Franklin Facebook page, couldn't we put something out there to see, hey, we wanna increase office hours, what's the date, like, what's the day and time range that would work best for you?
Like a poll?
Kind of. Get an idea of if anybody does, if they do happen to take it and fill it out. We also get kind of a range of what they might be looking for. It would also help us narrow down what would best work. And like if we're gonna use the library, we're not going to use the library and then we're not gonna be there because no one's showing up and you had wasted space. We don't wanna do that to you. But if we can at least get some type of, I can't think of the word, but.
I just have a question. Does Michael Blank do his own office hours?
I think he did one time. I don't know if he did more than, I know he said it in here one time. He was
That's all
like,
I
I'm gonna be
remember, so I didn't know if
virtual,
it was successful or if he was able to get that out or how he did or if people came or if he's done it more than
Great
once.
idea.
I don't know, but do you know, Jamie?
I don't.
Yeah.
Mostly the office hours, if you just put the office hours and invite people, we will not see good participation. So last time when we did, what we did is alongside of our art show in one of the elementary school where there were some families coming for the art show, so they were able to come and talk to us. So that way we can have some attention to this.
I think definitely leveraging the different partnerships in the community and the events that are going on is specifically like the Strawberry Stroll, like Porch Fest, like the wash parties that are coming up and just being there and being present and, or even if it's just like a soccer game or if it's a, just, especially for just what kind of audience you want to reach, depending on, you could split it up, during the week of, let's go to this event this week and then we can switch it up for this different location. It doesn't have to be, it could be a coffee shop. It doesn't have to be at a department. It could be at virtually,
Or back to your idea about the farmer's market. That's an established event that already draws a lot of people.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean, like if there was like a table there,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
We can ask them to have a community table to set aside and as part of their plan. We do their permitting and licensing, so we've done that before. Well, serious. We do it at the downtown park.
It makes sense because there's a lot of people that go to the farmer's market.
I know that sounds like extortionist, but it's not really. Like we've asked for partnership in the past. Like, we do their permits, and every time we've ever asked them, they've always the downtown partnership and the farmers market have always obliged. So I mean, we're happy to ask them if you like.
I mean, it makes sense because a lot of people do go to the farmer's market and it's, some go and just kind of hang out and then you got the ones that just kind of come in, they get what they need to go and they filter and so there's a constant turnover.
I was thinking maybe since you're in so many community groups, maybe you could reach out in one of those community groups as a counselor saying, we're looking to do, or just you being like, what would be the interest of where you would want to meet and see who you gauge as, because you are well known.
I have no problem doing that, and as long as all the admins approve the post, I'm good, but they don't like anything that has to do with any type of politics.
Yeah, they kick us out.
Or so they say, no, no, no. So I will try, but I can't promise, because there's still a lot of posts I made from like a year ago, they're still waiting for approval.
Join a new group and see if you can.
I will try and see what I can, if I can get some stuff out there. I don't have a problem with that. And if we could get a table at the farmer's market, it's just a matter of how many of us would all join in and take some time to be at that table, because like I can be there a lot, but trust me, I'm probably not the only person they want to see.
Right.
And it's also still on a weekday during business hours, so you still run into kind of the same problem that we're attempting to solve
We should
for.
probably also talk to the rest of the council before
Yes.
we solidify a table, because if we're gonna do that, I'm gonna expect somebody to show up.
Well, you will.
Because it's not gonna just be me.
No.
I'm sure Bobby will take you on the invite right away.
I know all their addresses, I go to the house and pick them up.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Al, yes.
Yeah, so I guess, do you have a perspective on when you want to start and have the first event?
Yeah, well, I realize as I'm sitting here talking about this that with summer coming up, it's probably not going to be in the schools after next month. So if we did it in the summer, we'd probably look to limit it probably to the library, the historical museum if we get permission to do that, and then incorporating hopefully the farmers market for a town thing. So then after in the fall, if it's working well and we're able to do this, then add some one or two opportunities at the schools. What are your thoughts, Al?
And I'm fine with that. I mean, I just think whatever we need to do, we just need to solidify a date or a window sooner than later so that we can then start to communicate that this is going to happen so that folks can be aware.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, I appreciate that. Okay, so it sounds like we are all happy with the idea of different places at different times. So I will reach back out. I was talking to Felicia, I was talking to Colin, wouldn't hear back from Rowan, and see if we can nail down some times, and I'll bring back the available times to this committee and then to also the school committee, and say, okay, here's when we have spots available, and make sure that we can at least get some people that can commit to attending those before we book them, and then we can start communicating that. Does that sound like a good plan? Yeah. All right, I will take everyone's silence as affirmation. Okay.
I think that's an excellent plan.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so then the next thing on the agenda was our communication subcommittee work plan, and this is the one other thing I'm going to skip down kind of halfway through, where again, this is the other thing that I wanted to invite Al and Stephen and Nadia, I know who couldn't come tonight, but for the work plan that you all have in your packet, about halfway down we have coordinate with school communication subcommittee, possibly hold joint meetings. So I feel like we are, we have an idea of trying to do some joint office hours if we find times that work for people. But at the same time, is there, I think this was actually your suggestion, Jane, at our first meeting, was to possibly do a joint communications or community relations. That was yours?
Yeah, that's mine.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just remember this. So one of you on one of my sides, so I couldn't remember. Sorry, Max. Your idea. So did you want to talk about that a little bit? Or?
No, I think that we're trying to build bridges between us and the school committee, but also we do a lot of sort of similar stuff with it in terms of messaging and trying to be in similar. We all have sort of similar outlets where we want to be at. So I thought, if we both have our own communication subcommittee, we're both kind of doing the same work, and we should work together on at least on some occasions. I did receive feedback interest from one of the other members of the school committee about it. I just thought I'd put it out there. If there's interest, there's interest. If there's not, there's not. But it's certainly something. Just wanted to extend an open hand and see if either of you were interested, or the school committee would be interested. So.
I guess what was the desired outcome other than just communication? What would we do at these meetings?
So I think that, can I talk to that?
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah, so I think part of it is we're both, as elected boards, we're both trying to reach constituents. Whether it be people in the parents or, citizens in general, we're all trying to reach the public. So, I mean, any way we could plan, like we're doing now, planning office hours or planning marketing materials. If you want something in one of our marketing materials, you can tell us, hey, we want something in one of your marketing materials. Or if there's any other sort of things in terms of strategic communication, social media management. I mean, this is all stuff that the schools do. What we would get out of it would be saving time by an effort by, instead of reinventing the wheel for both of our organizations, being able to sort of dovetail on each other's work.
I do want to mention real quick too that as part of the communications work that I'm doing in the town, is I'm planning to meet with each of the departments, including schools, to see where there are gaps, identify the gaps, and then see what I can do to strengthen that, unify or streamline communications. So I don't know, I wouldn't say maybe, my suggestion wouldn't be to have a standing meeting with school committee or, a liaison from a department. I think it's more so if it's something specific that has to do with them and we find that there's some kind of issue or something comes up and we realize maybe we should work together on this collaboratively. I think that's probably a better use of our time, and just so that I can do my work and address things, and when there is an issue, I can bring it to you too, and then we can kind of see what the ideas are and how to go about making different connections or whoever we need to involve from different departments.
I think at the end of the day, I think, if I want it to be helpful for the schools to be able to work together. If it's not helpful for the schools, then, you're right, what are we doing? But I just thought there would be areas where we collaborate, where we could, sort of kill two birds with one stone in terms of attending certain events and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and understood. I think my whole thing is I just want to make sure that we have a defined purpose and agenda. And it could be, if these could be ad hoc meetings, so if there is, as stated, if there's something that we need to discuss, we can come together as two collective bodies and eat. But I guess that's what I was just wondering, was there a set defined agenda that we want to cover, and set topics that we want to hit as part of this collaborative meeting?
So in front of us on with the agenda, we do have a work plan. So if there's anything on there that you think that would be helpful to work on, it has been written up. We could add stuff to it. We could take stuff out. But that is sort of what's before us right now.
And Alan, Stephen, I think also, one of the ideas is, again, to build that partnership. So it's not necessarily, create the strengthen the ties between the town council and the school committee. So again, it doesn't have to be, like you said, we could be looking at ad hoc meetings, but it could be if there's something that we're like, hey, if we had the two boards presenting a unified front here, or working together, like this might be something that we collectively, the two different groups, could do. Let's see if there's something we could plan there, where again, it's, these boards, as the elected officials of the town, showing that like we're pulling together for the greater Franklin community. I think that was part of the hope too, was that as we've talked about in many town council meetings and the couple of joint meetings that we've had, there's been the division in the past, and as a way to try to heal that and move forward. An idea here was with your community relations subcommittee and our communications subcommittee kind of doing similar work. Maybe there's a way that we could join forces and do it together. So I think that was part of it. But of course, as you say, if there isn't a specific purpose for having the meeting, then joint meeting, then maybe it's not necessary. But it's more of a, can we think of ways to collaborate and to partner? And hey, Stephen.
If I may add, I think as Al mentioned, so if you have a set agenda and an outcome, what we're going to achieve, this will be helpful. Otherwise, in case if you need any help or any kind of interaction with the school committee, community relations team, subcommittee, you can always invite us to this meeting, and if we need something, we can also invite you for our subcommittee meeting, so in that way we can start the collaboration. And of course, definitely we can plan for something as a joint meeting, maybe once in a quarter or something, and then take it, maybe few meetings we can join as an individual subcommittee meetings, and then pick up some information where we can work on it and collaborate, and that can be on the combined meeting, on the joint meeting, that we can plan for planning something in the future.
Yeah. I think that sounds great. I think that sounds like kind of exactly what we're looking for right now.
Yeah.
Especially, like, again, just kind of building that tie where it's like, maybe we don't have to wait until like, we need you guys, or you don't have to wait until you need us, but we can say like, oh, hey, I thought of this, wouldn't this be a good thing for all of us to collaborate on and work together? So that was, again, part of this, and why we wanted to invite you all tonight was, again, just to build that relationship between the two groups, so that, you know, we can start to think about ways that we can, you know, pull together for things.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I'm the devil's advocate, so I kind of agree with them, because I think what we need to communicate to the residents is going to be different from what they need to communicate, because they're communicating things that are school related, where we're trying to get things that are town related. So we are two different entities, even though we are one big entity. So we have to, because if we can't get the communication out and bring people up to speed on town stuff, we're not going to get anywhere. I think when there is something like the joint budgets, when there's a joint issue that we need to, then those would be the times when we say we need a joint subcommittee meeting. Let's like wrap our heads around it, come up with a game plan, and figure out how to tag it. But I think they need to focus on their specific things that are going on within the schools and what they're doing, and we need to focus on the town side of things. And I'm not trying to like separate them, because we are just the town of Franklin, but we also are separate entities in of themselves, and we have different audiences that we need to target. Where with schools, they're going to target families, parents, children, because those are the people that are going to be paying attention, because their kids are in the system. We have to target them, but we also have to target a whole different dynamic. We got to get to the target, like elderly, bring them up to the speed. People that may, just a wide variety of not just families. Do you know what I mean? So I think if we have to wrap our heads around what we need to get out first, before we could really think about trying to do joints, and I think I said this in our first meeting, before we have like regular joint subcommittee meetings, because we each have different things that we need to reach people with.
I agree. I would say that we are absolutely, obviously, broader than, like, because we look at the town, they are, you know, specifically responsible for the schools, but I think that part of being responsible for the whole town includes some responsibility for the schools as well, right? So like we are, I would say they probably don't need us as much as we would need them, right? They, you know, but anyway, I do agree. Did you say something for Al? I saw Al's hand. All of them were putting this in. But yeah, so I do agree with that. I think it's not as clear as like we are not schools and they are schools.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying not to make it sound like there's two separate teams here. But the bottom line is we have municipal things that we have to get engaged and get community engagement on. They have school things that they have to get engagement on. So our communications are separate, even though we are not separate. I don't know if it's not, maybe not, I'm not explaining it the way in my head it sounds.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yes, you can.
No, and I get exactly where you're coming from, because there are things that are beyond our scope that our audience doesn't cover. And when things are universal, so such as budget meetings, votes for election overrides, whatever that may be, broader, but our audience should be aware of, we'll definitely make sure we communicate and we share. We've done that in the past in our newsletters. If you look at our past newsletters, we've had all the joint budget subcommittee meetings, we've had the budget meetings, the budget hearings as well. Even we've had the town council budget hearings covered in those as well. And we can continue to do that. And I mean, as long as there's a purpose of why we're coming together, I'm open for this, and I'm willing for us to work and partner. I think we just need to define what that is.
That's fair. Yep, I think we're next.
I think I'm happy to hammer down some of the details further as to like what things we're going to produce, what things we're going to do. It could be, whether it's attending certain office hours, having some school stuff in a town publication. But I also think the other piece of this is, you have a lot of good stuff going on to parents when it comes out to, getting the community on board as a whole. Seniors, people who are working, renting, might not have kids. I think it's important for them to understand the good work the schools are doing too, because ultimately it's going to take a village to sort of solve some of our budget woes.
I do have some ideas too about what I want to implement for our collaboration with the schools in working with different students and doing, more civic engagement, having more civic engagement opportunities for us to work with the schools. So that is all part of my plan, and that's why I feel that I see both sides for sure, and I agree that we are all one. But we do have different target audiences. We do have different goals that we need to establish first before we are bringing in schools when we haven't really decided what our main priorities are of this group. So I think until we have something that specifically, is going to involve them and we do need them, which, could come up sooner rather than later, we can reach out and we can make that happen. I just think, I was just thinking a standing meeting might not make the most sense. That was my thought.
No, I don't want a standing meeting either. I think, like we said, once a quarter, I think it's fine.
Yeah, I think we're all into that. I think, again, it's a lot about just creating that partnership, that relationship between the two, so that if things should happen or if we should decide to make things happen, that relationship is already there. All right, well, Al and Stephen, thank you all for sticking with us for 2.5 hours, over 2.5 hours for the last 10 minutes of it that we just had. But I really appreciated you all joining us for this part that we wanted to include the schools on.
Are we going to go over the work plan separately?
Yeah,
okay.
I was just going to let them go. You're welcome to stay, but you all don't have to.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so we have the work plan in front of us. These are things that we've talked about in either our first subcommittee meeting or things that had been brought up in other town council meetings that were kind of said, oh, this would be a good thing for the communications subcommittee to talk about. So should I just read them and we can talk to them, or what do you think? Do you want to just?
Well, I did have some more general critiques.
Okay.
I think it's important to kind of prioritize what we want because we have a lot on this list. So maybe have some tiers or something as to like what we think is like what's most important and what's less important, as well as how we're going to define success. We want to have some measurable success criteria. We're talking about how much percentage are we going to increase website traffic. What's our engagement rate goal? How many articles a month are we going to do? What's our survey score going to be for resident satisfaction? Things like that. Keep KPIs, so that we can sort of track our success, as well as we should establish what is our responsibility as counselors and as a committee, a subcommittee, and what is Liz's responsibility as a director, making that clear. And then the other thing was that two other things I thought were missing was the non-digital outreach. So we talked a lot about how we're going to do more mail, more info at the senior center, library, but we don't really talk about as much about how we're going to do that.
Well, we hit it.
We did? Okay. But I just thought I don't know how much of it we wanted to.
So you do know that just the first page is our work plan, and everything after that is Liz's job description.
Yes, which is separate agenda item?
Yes.
Okay.
And everything that I've done up to this point.
Yes, which is great. Great.
It's more than half the stuff you guys are mentioning. I'm literally like, we're already doing it. We're doing it.
Yes, I think the intention was for Liz to say like, hey, this is what I've done and what I am doing and what my scope is, and then our work plan is more what we intend to do, what we would like to see done.
I just want to make sure we captured the topics. If you want, we can share the Google Doc. You guys can wordsmith it. Like, I just want to make sure that there wasn't anything.
Because this is a draft.
Yeah, I mean, and you can add, take things off. I think the staff, Liz, when I got back, I think we just want to make sure we captured.
Yeah. You ever think?
And then if other counselors, I know Steve made a comment, I think other people were talking about how to email counselors. So does this capture what was discussed and where y'all want to go? I know it doesn't have like deliverables here, but are these the topical areas, and does this reflect what you all want?
I think in general, yes. I think it just could be fine-tuned a little bit to. And the only other thing that I wanted to add that wasn't in there was, part of communication is a two-way street. So we're blasting stuff out, but also how are we, if you're hearing stuff from residents, or if you're getting information from residents, either for surveys or from other channels, how are you taking that and delivering that back to the council or to the town administrator to make sure we're actually listening to people and listening to feedback. So that's all I have for the roadmap. But it was really good. I'm just throwing stuff out there. So yeah.
Right. Gene, do you have any thoughts on the work plan as it?
I think that we may need to prioritize the email responses. I have some thoughts on that, how we can do that. What brought it to mind kind of this week, because I've been responding to everything as I said I would, and then we both responded to that the composting email, and so maybe an appropriate way of handling it, because there's different models of handling it, right? We could have one council handle it. We could push everything off to Jamie and say, yeah.
Jamie's like, that's not a model.
Actually, it is. It is. Actually, that's what traditionally has happened. I think 99% of the emails I think that come into y'all, I think have generally been, thank you, Joe Smith, for your email. Unless you have a personal opinion or like are you in favor of the budget? Like that's different. But if it's like the Japanese knotweed, right? Hey, by the way, thanks, Joe, for the email on the Japanese knotweed. I copied Brutus on this, and Derek maybe, or whoever. They'll get back to you. But you did it this morning with the flock cameras. You're like, I don't know anything about this, but I copied Jamie here and I sent the link. So actually, that is one of the most efficient ways. Because then it becomes, I have to send it to somebody, or we have to send an answer back to you, and then you send it to someone, and then they come back to you, and it becomes this kind of, but if you just copy anyone on the staff, like as you learn who does more specific stuff, you don't just copy me, copy the chief of police, copy Brutus, right? Copy Ryan Jett. I think then we can get back, and what we've traditionally done is then reply to all. We're not replying to all 9 people. I will say in my experience thus far, which, just to be clear, I think you guys are killing it on responsiveness. Like, I don't think there's anybody in 8 months that's complained to me that they're not getting a reply. I think that's a really big win. I think it's really good. But I do know you get some of these emails from people on stuff you may have, like Japanese knotweed. You may just be like, I have no idea what to talk about. So if you just copy us, actually.
I learned something about Japanese knotweed.
I bet you learned a lot about Japanese knotweed. Actually, that was very well researched.
So it doesn't. I'm being serious. It doesn't. You should definitely do that. People want your position on a vote. Well, then you should email them directly, right? Because that may be different than other people, and I'm not going to weigh in on what your position is on something on a budget or development or something like that. But if it's operational or if it's substantive, you did it, then I think copying the applicable department head is actually the way to go. You'll get a great answer back.
And also the only department head that I knew that might have the answer.
And it also puts you guys in a position to link with the right staff, and then you're not having to take a position like, can you cut down the tree on my lawn? No, then we're the people that are giving the news that people may not want to hear, right? You're just linking us up to the people that
But then you're getting 7 emails about it.
That has been the dynamic that has pleasantly changed in 8 months, where now it's 7 people emailing me about the same issue, or TJ or whoever. And I think that's maybe the issue that needs to get a little bit more streamlined. And sometimes you guys have emailed people different responses with different information, which is, I think, tough for the customer, because then they're getting 3 different answers about 3 different things that, you know, a couple of them may be wrong, right? And I think that that's maybe a little bit more what I think y'all need to figure out to streamline.
So how do we see, like for instance, we'll take the one you did today, right, the camera one?
Yeah.
All right, how do we all see that you have responded to that?
You don't, because you can't do a reply all, because that is an OML violation.
Wait, but can we, if we're not discussing something, like
Correct.
if we're just copying you or Chief Lynch or Brutus or whoever, can we do a reply all?
Absolutely.
Because we're not discussing, we're just.
Brutus could copy all 9 of you on a reply.
And he did.
On Japanese, yeah, he did, that's right. That is legal, as long as the 9 of you don't start
debating what we should do about it,
or even solutions, like, oh, I don't want it in this place, I want it in this place. And then Councilor Grella says, oh no, I hate that location for the compost pile, put it over there. As long as you're not doing that, absolutely. So on the flock camera one today, I could have replied back and said to all town councilors, here's the link on the police website for the flock cameras, which would hopefully over time, then I don't need to reply to any of these, because then hopefully all 9 of you know that there's a link with a portal with a flock camera. So anytime you got that email, you could just reply on your own.
So getting back to your question, I think we need to define the rules on this, right?
Right.
So here's what we're going to do. You know, we can come up with the rules that say, you know, yes, you can reply back. Like if you like to reply back to everyone, that's fine. But you know, you'll know, for example, if I email Jamie and he, you know, and I copied everybody, you know, Jamie knows he's working on it. You can just respond to that resident and say, hey, I know, you know, concerned about it too, and I see that Jamie's working on it or something like that. You know, so you could still, so councilors can still respond, they just can't answer it. You know, that could be a potential rule for that, unless it's like very specific to you, to you or your opinion, as Jamie was saying.
So, yeah, so in a recent example, not the knotweed, but composting. So in that example, like, if we were doing a reply all, like, hey, someone can answer this, right? And we had said, you know, the first person that responded, like, oh, I'm gonna forward you to Jamie and Brutus, that would be a reply all. Whereas it sounds like you and I both, according to the resident, you and I both provided, like, oh, hey, I would like to do blah, 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 blah. That's something that we wouldn't want to do, reply all. But I don't think that it would hurt if the first person who got it and was like, I'm not going to give an opinion, I'm not going to give a position on this, I'm just going to copy the right people, said, here's a reply all, so everyone is aware of it.
Yes.
And then anyone who wants to weigh in personally is still able to do that on a one-on-one, like individual response to the.
So let's take that case, right? Like, I don't know if I was the first one to respond or you were the first one, but let's say I was the first one, all right? If I replied all and you saw something and said, hey, yeah, that's a good idea, and I know about this, and you could weigh in, everyone else would know they don't have to weigh in because it's not, you know, they want to respond to it.
Yeah, well, so if you were the first person in, it would be a not threatening position, right? It wouldn't be like, oh, that's a great idea. It would just be like, oh, hey, let me put you to Jamie and Brutus and they can answer that. And then if I saw that and I wanted to weigh in with an opinion, I could do that individually, right? Like that.
Yeah, that's still totally fair game. And I think 9 times out of 10, that probably won't be the case, because most stuff that people are going to email you is generally more operational questions, where they saw something, like Derek said earlier, like we want all that information so we can go take care of it.
Yes.
Right? So I think most of the inquiries that are coming in, and I've seen some of them, are more about, I saw something, you know, I'm curious about something, where do I go about this? You know, and that stuff is very easy. And I don't even think most people are going to reply with their personal opinion,
right,
you know, on something. But in that case, if somebody really was against flock cameras, right? You know, Councilor Griffith could then take that reply and email that person back and say, I don't like these things, or whatever it is. Just as long as you're not deliberating. At least everybody knows. I think the germane point is, and I think where the gap was with the last council was, a lot of people weren't responding to any emails. And number 2, most of them, I told you this before, and they know this, like they send them to me. And I tell them, oftentimes I say, they don't want my opinion. You know, if it was fix the road or fix this issue or a sidewalk or a tree down, we would just take care of it. But I think on some of the other issues that people were looking for personal opinions on, they weren't getting back at all, and they were sending them to me, and I'm like, they're not looking for my opinion. And I shouldn't be giving my opinion on some of these things. They're sending it to you guys because you're the elected representatives.
If I go back to the composting one, sorry,
We haven't talked a lot today.
That's true. If I go back to the composting one, just because it was kind of an interesting case, I think I responded back saying, a couple of things. One is I liked the idea, of compost. The other thing too was that the resident had said that, probably not something we couldn't consider because of budget considerations. No, actually not, because the trash system is, paid by a fee, has nothing to do with what budget. It's got its own kind of independent. So that was my kind of response to it, whatever. So,
I think you gotta be careful right now because you're almost doing like a reply all with your opinion here. You gotta be careful. Well,
no, but I mean,
it's not.
there was opinion in that, and something that I just actually I thought the resident had a great idea, and I wanted to express that. So I think that's a case that I think we want councilors to be able to do that sort of thing. And getting back to what Jamie said is that they want to hear from us. I agree with you. They do want to hear from us. And, so I think that's a good example of it.
Yeah, I think we can create that kind of two-tiered policy. Like, it could be a reply all, if you're looping in people not expressing an opinion. All right, but Max, you
I hate to be the buzzkill. I think it allows too much of a possibility for something to go wrong where someone accidentally deliberates or that kind of thing. It makes us liable in a way that I don't think we want to be liable. But I do think that going back to the original ideas we were having in the previous meeting, where we have a designated person for each topic, I think is sort of a better fit, because one person they can choose to email for that topic if they specialize in that topic, or they can still reply to everyone. But I think maybe starting with a form that says, okay, first, have you read our FAQ page, which we need to create, because we have all these comments and questions that always get answered over and over again. Have an FAQ page. If it's not on the FAQ page, do you want to email the town administrator? And then if they don't want to email the town administrator, then they could, select who they want to email to, and maybe it's a specialist or maybe it's the whole council.
I just have a question, Max. How would we generate the content for the FAQ page? Who would give that information to our staff so that we could build that out? What are the questions?
So that could either be the committee, that could be Liz. I put Liz on the spot now that you just came in and didn't know that.
Drink a lot of water. He saw you.
So we were talking about whether we want to create an FAQ page. For like before people ask a question to the town council, if we have like a commonly asked question, so people could check to see what's on the list.
That's a great idea.
Julie was asking who was going to generate those questions. So I don't know if there's emails that we have had. We could look back at our email logs for the past, however many years.
We do have, well, we could do that, but also the website does archive when someone fills out the form to contact the town council.
Okay.
So we could search for, keyword search, familiar terms.
I feel like you were testing me for some reason. This is a test.
No. I just didn't know. Were you pulling questions from Facebook?
No, just not
necessarily
whatever people are asking frequently. I mean, we always get questions about. We do have a budget portal already.
Well, we get asked about the flock cameras, and with all due respect, there's been a portal on there for 3 years that nobody finds. So it's like, I think the FAQ is just another redundant way of saying a lot of things that are already on there.
I'm also a little concerned that people might take that like, hey, before you email us, look at these FAQs, and then you want to email the town, and then the third option is come to us. And I feel like that's the opposite of what we want to do. Is we want to encourage the communication and make it clear that we want to hear from them. So
I think it's valuable for you guys to hear from 7 people that they're concerned about flock cameras.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for whatever reason. Like, I think that's...
Yes.
Like, so if you do a FRAC...
Well, my point to you is getting 7 emails a problem for you, Jamie?
I gotta tell you, like, the volume of people is not... This is not a crisis. It is just not. I don't think that... I think what you're just trying to do is a very simple way of connecting with people. And I think it's wonderful that you guys are responding to people. I'm telling you right now, I've been doing this 11 years here. I've never heard fewer complaints about this issue ever in 11 years. I think you guys are doing a really good job at this stuff, and I think it's just a simple tweak, a simple two-tier or whatever process of just, if it's an operational question about, where is something, or a tree is down, or I see something, say something, that's a very easy reply to just say, hey, I've copied Carlos and Brutus about the tree on Pleasant Street. They'll take a look at it and they'll get back to you. There's a second tier of stuff, which is they want your political opinion, for lack of a different perspective, to know that people are concerned about issues. I don't think you're rubbing up against the open meeting law area if TJ were to respond about a flock camera to all 9 of you, and then Counselor so-and-so goes off and takes that email and emails the person, I thought the chief's response was great, or I don't agree with all this stuff, I'm going to try to look into this a little more. I don't think that's an open meeting law violation, and I think you guys are disciplined enough to not do the cycle of the reply to all.
Right.
And people are just looking for a quick reply to know that they've been heard, that there's movement on something. I don't think this is that.
Can the first person be CC instead of CC the rest of the council? So that way they all know the person responded?
Well, so yes, that could be, but we also, then you don't get the response from, like if you tie them into Chief Litch, then if you're BCC, then you don't get that response either. So then you're going, great, I'm so glad somebody answered them, but I would like to know that information too. So I do think that we are capable of doing this, but I know Jane wants to say something.
Yes. We're making it too complicated.
It's not that deep.
Okay, so the email that we all got today, I emailed her back. I copied Jamie on it. Basically, I said, not really sure. I don't understand. As far as my knowledge, we didn't approve it. Don't know if it was done on the previous council. If it's on the highway, it may not even be a town issue, but I honestly don't know, so I'm copying the town administrator because he will know the answer or who you need to speak to get the answer. That's it. Sends it out. Now, if Jamie replies all back, because he gets the email and he goes and responds, if he doesn't reply all back and you guys see it, then you know that that person's getting an answer, but they still emailed 9 individuals. And I'm telling you right now, we're doing good now, but how far, if we'll just say I do the emails and nobody else was, it's gonna be like the only one responding is Jane. The only one responding is Jean or Max or whoever it is. If I get that email and I saw that Jamie respond, I would then individually email that person and say, thank you for taking the time out to email us. I see that you've gotten a response from the town administrator or Brutus, whoever the person was. So I'm glad that you were able to get your answers. If you have any more concerns, please feel free to reach out. They want to know that we took the time to read that email. And if we do not respond, it looks like we didn't read the email. Even if they got an answer, like Jamie responds to that person or Bruce responds to that person.
Jane, that's fine. I don't disagree with that. I do agree that we all should, well, it's up to each individual council if they want to respond or not. Okay?
True.
I do like to respond. I do want to respond. It's also good, it would be really good to know what, Caroline said, because she already, she'd already spoken, already maybe sends it off to Jamie. So we have to figure out a method that I can know that she said that to Jamie, or at the same time I can still respond and I can respond educated.
Well, if we can do, now that we know we can do a reply all, then we could try to do that. I just think that I go back to before I was sitting here, and I would send an email to 9 counselors, and maybe 1 responded, and I used to think, great, that 1 responded, what happened to the other 8? Apparently, my words didn't matter. That is exactly how I felt, and that is exactly how these residents are gonna feel if we're not responding. That's just my only thing, they deserve an
That's
answer.
fine.
If
That's
they took
fine.
the time to type out the message, they deserve a response.
I think we can just be more efficient and not send, him 9 emails,
And to your point, it's up to the counselors. I agree, it would be great if the first person said, I'm gonna loop in the right people, We all saw the response back. And then if everybody wanted to follow up and be like, hey, thank you for your email. I see you got the response. If you have other questions, feel free to reach out again. But I don't think that we can, mandate that for these the 9 adults who sit here. Yes, it'd be great.
No,
But I
we
think
can't mandate it, and it is up to all 9 of us to make that decision. It's up to us to decide which end of that conversation you want to be on. A counselor that ignores or a counselor that listens. And that's really what it comes down to, because the biggest problem with the previous councils is they weren't getting responses, and that is one of the reasons why residents claim they were not being heard and they were being ignored.
But in this case, they'd be getting a response. They just wouldn't be getting 9 people saying, hey, let me loop in Jamie. My only thought is, I think it is each individual person who emails in, some of them might be looking for an answer, and whether it comes from one person who looped them in, especially because they can see that everybody is getting the same message, that might be good enough for them. Or maybe there are people who are like, well, I emailed 9 people, I need 9 responses. But I don't necessarily think that that's the majority of people. I think most people are like, hey, I'm looking for an answer here. If they are asking what's your political opinion on this, then yes, those would be 9 specific individual responses that they'd be looking for.
Right.
But if they're looking for, hey, tell me about these SWAT cameras and how that happened, I don't think they need 9 people. I don't think they want 9 people saying the exact same thing. This is what Jamie and Chief Lynch said about it. Here, I'm going to regurgitate the same thing in 9 different responses. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think it's individual.
Yeah, and when they know that they responded, the expectation is that not everybody responds.
But I'm going back to, again, social media. And what was on social media before is I saw multiple times over and over again, and then the comments went crazy. I sent an email to council and nobody bothered to respond. Or I sent an email to council and only one councilor bothered to respond. Still don't have my answer, they didn't know it, blah, 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 blah. So when I'm saying this, it's because that is exactly what was predominant in the past. People were angry because they weren't getting the responses. And they do, I think if it's a situation, maybe they don't need all 9. But if I take the time to type out an email and send it to 9 people, I should at least get 9 thank yous. 9 acknowledgements that you actually took the time to read it. Because in my mind, I do a reply all, loop Jamie into this flock camera thing. Nobody else responds. In my mind, if I was that resident, yes, I'm grateful I got my answer, but now there's 2 messages that were sent to council that didn't get acknowledged. That's just.
I think unfortunately, Councilor Griffith is correct. You can't just mandate that all 9 reply to every single person. If responsiveness is a thing that's part of what you do, Councilor Callaway-Tripp, then you will always be elected by residents who. But if somebody else says, I'm only going to reply to a few here or there, it's just their choice. And because those people got partially unelected, because they didn't reply, well, that's just their fault. I mean, that's the same thing with any elected board anywhere. So I think at the end of the day, again, you have a majority of people that are trying to acknowledge that a tree is down, or there's a broken sidewalk, or the sign over here is busted, or there's knotweed and whatever. Most of these are operational questions. As long as we get them and you copy me and the staff, we're going to get back to people, and I think most of those will be easy. And if you want us to copy the whole council to make sure that the tree got acknowledged and DPW is going to go out and pick it up, Renata's email about Japanese knotweed but I think then there's this other category, which is it's really more individual. Some people don't want to give a position on a certain issue. Some people are going to wait. Some people aren't going to respond. Some people are going to want that response to that person. Some people are going to email at 12:30 at night when they have time, right, Councilor Griffith? Some people are going to email, Councilor Callaway-Tripp, you email people right away. Sometimes I see on the email 0 minutes because you're in front of your computer and you get back to people. But I think you also are running into this problem where multiple people are emailing the same person, and you're also confusing the resident with 3 different replies. And at some point, you know, unless it's an issue on a vote or something that's personal, you know, like, are you going to vote on the budget? Do you support this, yay or nay? You know, I mean, some of that other place is a little gray area. It's just kind of hard.
I had an idea too, for like kind of an ask the council kind of segment that you could do with, like, you know, Franklin TV, or you could do it even just, you know, by yourself as an individual counselor and do, you know, frequently asked questions that we get and answer them live via like video or reel, things like that, versus having like a FAQ page for, you know, I don't know what those questions would be specifically for the FAQ page, but things that are coming, that are important, coming to the table, and you just want to address residents' concerns and be there and give another way to show them that you are doing, you know, your due diligence to listen to them, like you, Jane, like you care and that you're taking the time to answer them, and that it matters. Not everyone, again, not every counselor is probably gonna have the time or bandwidth to do it, right? But I see both sides of, I see what you're saying, and I it's almost like like being raised by like my parents. They're like, well, make sure you say your please and thank yous, make sure you call your aunts and thank them for your birthday gifts, because if you don't call them, it's the end of the world, right? I hope they're not watching. But that's kind of like, I get what you're saying, but I think we are overcomplicating how some people may expect a reply all from everyone, but I feel like that's on you to be that person to reply to them, even if they've already had their question answered, and that is just good on you. You know what I mean? Some people may not care, some people do care. But I think also having some kind of other, you know, mediums or vehicles to get information out, like an ask the council, or something like you guys do live or do video recaps of meetings and things like that, is going to alleviate more and more questions that you get, because there are other opportunities for residents to ask you questions in different ways where they can reach you. So, and like the office hours, like all those things. I mean, how many questions do you guys get that you're really like, wow, this happens so many times that we just have not been able to get on the same page with answering questions? I mean, how many, like Jamie had said, you guys don't get nearly as many emails as the previous councils that have been here, and you answer them, and everyone's, you know, it's less and less people that you're getting complaints from, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you guys are not acknowledging that you're doing a really good job of answering the questions of the people in the community and being there, and, you know, the other things you can do are just get out into the community and ask them what they want, you know, and that's gonna also alleviate emails that you're gonna be getting, and then having to figure out who's answering this question. So that's my 2 cents.
I'm delighted to learn that, shame on me, turns out we already have an FAQ page.
But not for the council?
No, it's how do I pay my city water bill?
Oh yeah.
How do I enroll in Franklin's municipal aggregation program? When do I get a permit to burn brush?
Yeah, I thought you meant for like the council though.
Well, I mean, I think people that respond to us for the town, for the whole town. I mean, these are the kind of questions we probably will get.
Oh, we haven't gotten any yet.
Well, I don't know.
Was doing such a good job of getting that communication out there. So
they're aware of the FAQ.
Yeah, but apparently there's a section for each department. So maybe we just got to expand it.
Or maybe you just need to point residents into the direction that there is an FAQ page.
Yeah, or maybe point myself there first.
Right. All right. The only other thing I wanted to say is that I think that this method, this 2-tiered method, might actually help solve they're not getting a response problem too, right? Where if we're not seeing someone has responded and sent them to the right place, then we have to assume they're not getting a response. Instead of going, oh, well, there's 9 of us, someone surely has answered them by now, right? So I think that this way would be hopefully better at making sure that someone is getting an answer or getting directed to the right place. That's my thought. I will say we have talked about the liaisons, like having a liaison for different segments, and I did kind of draw up like a sample. Honestly, this feels more complicated to me, but I know that we've talked about it a couple times. So if you're interested, the 9 kind of groups that I made were like 1 for general government, and town administrator, clerk, board of assessors, you know, and then finance and budget. So So you've got treasurer, collector, finance committee, public safety, so police, fire, animal control, emergency management, board of health, public works and infrastructure, so DPW, building and inspection, zoning board, land use, environment, and sustainability, so we've got conservation and historical commission, design review, education and youth services, so schools, rec department, library, human services and community well-being, so senior center, veteran services, housing authority, economic development and business support. So like economic development, like subcommittee or something like that, downtown partnership, the cultural council possibly, and then like recreation, arts and community life. So that might, cultural council might fall into better into that. So I actually think this is more complicated, trying to take every department and every board and committee and putting that into like 9 groups, and we could each be a liaison. But we brought it up a couple times, and so I wanted to see like if we could do it and how that would work. So this is one out of, I'm sure, a dozen ways we could do it. Whatever we feel is like the best way to handle this, I'm fine bringing to larger committee. I think this sounds more complicated than kind of this 2-tiered email approach that makes sure someone gets an answer. But that's my 2 cents, and I would love to hear thoughts from other people.
Yeah, I think if it's fact-based, like if there's an answer, we send it to Jamie. If it's opinion, we can answer it ourselves. You know, when we send it to Jamie, everyone knows it went to Jamie, and then when Jamie responds, we all get the same information. So that's the other, concern that I have is that, we're all saying different things about something that's like a fact. It's like, hey, when do taxes rates change or something like that? And we're given 3 or 4 different answers. When there's only one answer, you can give the answer. And but if it's opinion based, then of course we can all answer that. And I think that might be the the dividing line. I think you just have to kind of work on the rules of engagement. So everyone knows. Maybe people sit back for a couple of days because maybe there's an early one, and maybe Jane's always the early one in. Everyone else sit back. Wait, with your rule, wait a couple of days, wait till somebody responds, and then you can say thank you.
If they're emailing at 12:30 at night, I'll be first.
And you can say thank you, and I see you got a response, thank you for writing in. You can still answer the residents' email, but and everyone's on the same page, which I think is a good thing. We don't have the same information.
Yeah, and people can reply back with it's not an open meeting law violation or anything to say if you get to your emails because you're busy and you're whatever, and it's late at night, and somebody, thank you so much, Brutus, for getting back to them. That's no one's coming down. It just gets a little too, you don't have to walk on the edge that much. If you just thank somebody for getting back to them with a nice extensive answer, people can email back to that to reply to all. I think you'll find that most people are going to be fine if I copy the entire town council as a CC, not a BCC. And at least we know the tree got picked up, the thing got moved, the park got mowed, whatever people are complaining about. I think then when you get into a split tax rate question, well, that's going to be more personal between you and the citizen, right? That stuff you should not be replying to all. That for sure, right? So I think if you also split up the committees or the departments, then a lot of the other counselors don't get the benefit of learning about those issues too. And I think, and then you kind of lose capacity, and it becomes well, now I'm a citizen, now I know Max is dealing with the DPW, well, I'm only going to email Max, and the rest of you don't get the benefit of seeing any of that information. So
Jamie, when I sent you that email today, when I replied to her, and I copied you on it, if I had said what I said in that email and did a reply all, that's not considered an open meeting law violation?
If you copied everybody, it's fine to copy them on that first email. But once 2 or 3 others start opining and replying to all, that's when you have a problem.
Right.
If they're talking about the topic, but if they replied all, said thank you for getting back, Jamie, thank you for getting back to them,
Correct.
that's not.
Same thing with setting up dates for a meeting. You know, that happens all the time because you have to kind of email reply to all, be like, I'm good with that one, oh, I can't do that meeting, I can't do that night. There's no violation there, and no one's gonna rat you out for it. The Attorney General's not gonna spend any time on this while you're trying to schedule a meeting, right? There's just some stuff that's just administrative in nature. It's when you're deliberating on a detailed policy issue that becomes a problem, you know? I think you also have to just be a little careful, you know, on operational stuff, I think to Councilor Grella's point, like, look, you know, we thank you for the request to take down the tree. We went out and measured it. It's 8 feet on the property. We only have 3 feet. Those are facts, right? Where elected officials have to be careful is they can't just opine and say, oh, can't you just take down the tree? Like, it's really not 8 feet. You know, once you get into that, that becomes a problem too. But I don't think that's what's going to happen. But you gotta try something, because I do think having several people email somebody with the incorrect information and confusing people then makes it the responsiveness worse, right? Right. Because now, you know, you're not giving the correct information and it gets confusing and people get upset.
Yeah, I think you know, hearing what everyone has said, that you know, just replying all that the message was received by the town administrator, you know, with the message to the town, you know, that's fine. I will say that, you know, Jane, maybe we could have a little contest to see who could reply first. Treat each other or something, I don't know.
Someone email in the middle of the night, I will get you.
You know, Councilor Callaway-Tripp, you might also want to let a few of the other ones get in.
You know what,
I know you're passionate about this, but like, give everybody else a slice of bread.
I get on the bus, I sit down to have coffee, and I go through email, and if they pop up, they get answered right away. Because the other thing is that Civics Plus thing, I do not like it.
If you notice, you didn't reply. You actually replied to the Civic Plus general email. You actually never replied today to that woman thing.
I don't even understand it. And then they all, like, if you get 5 emails from 5 different people in Civics, it's all lumped into one.
That's a Google problem.
You can unthread them. You can
undo
unthread them. I did that immediately because I could not find anything. You can unthread
We
them. I
will be
show you.
doing this
Yes,
because
sorry.
that's driving me nuts, because I can't find that
those emails.
Yes, I will help you. You can unthread them. Every single email you get doesn't come in as like a reply to all.
Which is one of the reasons I go to a quick to reply as soon as I know I have an email.
I got you.
Because I'm afraid I won't find it later.
I got you. I'll show you.
Yeah, you have to unstack them, essentially.
Yep.
Oh, you have to take it out.
We know what kind of issues I have with the computer.
So, can I make a suggestion about this? That we take these 2 items here, the town council answered emails and procedures for emailing residents, and that we, you know, kind of draft some rules around that, and then, you know, then we can vote on them, I guess.
Yeah.
Back to the town council.
I think that sounds like a great idea. Okay, all right, so we have, you know, a handful of things. Are there other things that we want to, so, all right, just to be clear, did we decide that the liaisons to town departments, that's something that we don't want to pursue?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, all right. All right, we've already talked about office hours, town council meeting recaps on social media. So I asked Liz to draft a template in Canva, as we've heard is the best possible way to do this. I love Canva myself. I was very excited when it came through on Canva.
It's not my best work.
It's okay. I made some tweaks.
I wanted you to. I just wanted a basis of what you were looking for.
Yeah. So I started to put it together using the budget hearings, and then I realized like we didn't make any decisions. The only things that we voted on in those 2 nights were like licenses and stuff, and it's like those aren't necessarily the things that people really care about getting the highlights in. So I was like, oh, maybe that's not the right one to use as an example. So I wanted to go back further, and I just ran out of time to do that. So, but I will put together this template and send it so you can see it. So it's basically like, hey, here are main decisions that were made. Here's a little blurb. You can do a link to the minutes, the timestamp in the videos, in the YouTube video to that exact conversation. Now the links don't show up as if you put this as a picture, but if you put it as a picture with a link to where this is being stored on the town website, people can still get to all those things. But then they can just see the picture and be like, oh, I do want to go look at that. And so it talks about like, you know, things that were discussed. And it, again, you could do something that's like upcoming events, right? So now, you know, if I had it done for today, you know, at the bottom it would say like Restaurant Week coming up, and you'd have a link to the information about Restaurant Week, and you know, Porch Fest and things like that. And then we didn't make a second page template, but we talked about doing something on the second page that was, you know, either like a spotlight on a town department or on an issue or something, or even like a one-pager on, like right now as we're in budget season, it could be a one-pager on like, here's the Massachusetts state budget process and here's where we fall in and here's kind of where we are at the moment. Right? Like if it had been about the budget hearing, that would have been
like showing them the timeline and where we are in that timeline.
Yeah, just a little like, here's how it works, here's a one-pager so that they feel more informed as we're talking about budget conversations. And when we're saying, when they're watching the meetings, they hear us say like, oh, well, if, you know, Chapter 70 money increases, or oh, if the other money is different, and they can understand why, if we had a budget written up 2 months ago, why we're still talking about, you know, if this changes before we vote.
Right.
Anyway, but that's kind of the idea, and then it'll give us something that we can grow on social media, where it's like, hey, here's factual information, and nobody has to put their own opinions in, but we're still putting the information out there, and you know, again, trying to make things as accessible to people as possible.
Kind of like at a glance, but if you want more information, you can click this, and this, and go read to your heart's content.
Exactly, and another way to get out some of those events and like spotlights and stuff. Matt?
You actually said the word I was going to talk about was accessibility. I just want to ask Liz when she's ready, just about accessibility and making sure that all of our content meets accessibility guidelines.
We have, we're in the process right now of looking into a module through Civic Plus.
What's the question?
That is specifically ADA.
For graphics.
So, yes. Well,
Wait, what was the original question?
The question was, well, I was asking in regards to the template for the town council meetings, but in general as well. Do you have a good grasp of like accessibility guidelines as to what people with disabilities can read easily and what not? So they know Ali, Rome is very good.
I have a really good back.
Okay.
I've worked a lot with ADA compliance. I know all about Title II, and I've also worked hand in hand with Ali.
Okay, good.
So that's why I did say to Caroline too, we can put a picture up there of all that information, but it's better if we just put in a graphic. Like it should be like one catchy municipal graphic that says, if you're posting that on social media, it says like town council highlights or something fun. We could make something fun, but just like a picture, a color, and that it's branded with the town and logo, and then it would be inside a post with the text, the link to the PDF that would be uploaded onto the website, which would all be ADA compliant.
Okay.
So yes, I have a very good grasp of ADA.
So I don't have to keep asking, is it compliant? It's compliant.
As long as I do it,
Okay.
it's compliant.
Okay.
That's the whole plan with the town.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. And training other people.
If you did you read my description?
Oh boy.
I think Liz had showed me how to do Newsflash, and I think I'm doing it right. When I'm just filling out all the information, there's like an option for an alternative description. It is tricky with trash, and I basically just say Prospect Street and the streets on Prospect, but she already showed me how to do that, so I think I'm doing it right.
That's right. They were my first department I got a hold of, and I was like, the trash and the recycling, it's divisive, so I'm going to need to handle that first. But yeah, I haven't been able to explain everything yet, but I don't know if I'll be able to get through all of it by the end of this meeting. But yes, to your question, yes, I'm very aware of ADA compliance stuff.
Good.
I did not think we would still be here at 9:30. Sorry. Okay, so there's that. I will send you guys an example, and then we can decide if it's something that we want to pursue. Okay, were there other things on here? So social media guidelines, Liz has already said that is something that she's working on. Did you want to talk about that? Or?
So I sent some rough guidelines, like draft guidelines, to Jamie and Julie, because I'm using a lot of my past experiences, and also I'm part of the Mass Municipal Association Communicators group, and so a lot of the communications people do the same thing that I do throughout the state are in that group, and we share a lot of different, ideas of what each town is doing that's different, getting, kind of learning from each other municipality and what's been really good and what hasn't been. So I have written down and I've amended some guidelines for elected officials, but I've also did staff updated social media policy and also a staff social media moderation policy. So there's a few different ones, and then there's also going to be a best practices too for social media guidance.
Well, I hope the communicators group has a good community newsletter.
They all have pretty good ones, but this isn't really, it's not really about that, but yeah, I've made those good and ready to go, drafted wise, and Jamie and I are going to talk about that coming up next week, and Julie too, and then we're going to iron out the kinks and then bring them to you guys.
Very strong drafts.
Excellent. We've talked about attendance and presence at community events. We've talked about emails ad nauseum. We talked as we're talking to the departments, we talked about accessing or getting information to non-digital residents. Does anybody want to say anything about any of the things? Well, one thing we didn't really talk about was analytics of newsletter, social media. I mean, yeah, Liz.
So that is something I'm trying to get from IT. It's been a bit of a struggle, so I've still been waiting on all of that stuff, and it's something that is part of my plans. So in measuring and tracking the insights and analytics. So definitely part of the plan, just kind of on hold at the moment because of Civic Plus and
I mean, this is a work plan. It's not like, hey, here's 13 things that we have to have accomplished by tonight, right? So that's not what, I hope you didn't think
I just want you guys to know I'm very aware of it, I'm on top of it, but
As long as it's not civic minus.
it's gonna be civic divided.
No, that's the wrong way.
Division, civic something.
The only other thing that I think we talked about at our last meeting that I didn't see on this work plan was we've come up with the idea of doing like really quick spotlight videos, like 30-second, 60-second video or whatever it is on like, hey, here's a timely subject. Again, little quick informational bit, and then getting that out. And then with accessibility in mind, closed captions if possible.
Okay.
Or anyway, but so that's another thing that we've talked about. But
well, I just want to ask, I just want to make sure people see, we have videos, people see them. I know sometimes, a lot of times you have this content and then it doesn't get watched. So in your experience, when you have these kind of short clips, are you able to get the reach out as much as you'd like?
I think that if you're gonna do a short clip on, say, a video, what kind of video are you talking about? I think it'd be better if you were to do like Caroline leaving a meeting and being like, so this is what we talked about tonight, doing like a selfie, like a reel, and then being like, here are the main points, blah, blah, blah. I think that's way more engaging, and I think you'd have, and posting it on your own socials, we could repost it as a town, and then to our audiences. I just think that is a better way to engage with the audience. Instead of them reading something that's long and dry, or having to go to YouTube, or clicking a million different links, if they decide to do that, they can absolutely do that. Like you said, read your heart out on all the information, but I think like short videos from you guys, and it would help you establish those relationships and build strong relationships with the residents and stakeholders. And also, it makes it for more transparent and real, like organic. So it's not like you're just talking head, you know what I mean? You're actually there and you're willing to talk to people, be there. Like it's just another avenue instead of email, That's my thought process, and I had spoken to Jamie about it and Julie, and they both were like, it's a more personal kind of feeling that you get when someone is actually speaking to you. It's 30 seconds, it's a minute, and they don't have to watch a 3-hour meeting. but they might actually get more and more engaged by hearing what you're talking about and want to come to the next meeting, you know?
And if there's an actual topic that's very, like, a lot, maybe your personal videos now about 5 minutes, but they're gonna watch it.
I did want to bring up, I know you're developing a social media policy. I know like at the state level, people have campaign pages and council pages.
Part of the policy.
Yeah, okay, so you don't have to worry about crossover with any of that stuff.
I have there are guidelines. I don't want to, obviously, I'm not giving elected officials, and not just you, like school committee, I'm not giving elected officials a policy, but I'm going to give guidelines where it is, these are best practices. It's also for your own benefit to know kind of where that line is.
No, but I guess I'm saying is if you know, I do a selfie in the town council, you know, and about a town event, but it's on a campaign page, you should not share that because that's a violation of the
You shouldn't be on a
crossover.
campaign page and talk, so
Right.
there's things that we're gonna go over.
Okay.
The only other thing is, I mean, I don't know, I don't hope this isn't like reiterating Liz's point. So my background is in like adult education, and so that was, again, kind of the idea here was like people learn things in so many different ways. And so someone might want to look at a little graphic and be like, that's what they talked about, cool. Someone else might be like, oh, I'm really interested in that. Let me click this and watch the whole 4-hour-long meeting or follow these links to learn about these different things. And someone else is like, listen, you've got 90 seconds before I am done. Like, talk to me, and I'm gonna pop it in my earbuds as I'm walking the dog.
My concern
like
is that the town should not be supporting someone who is a candidate.
We're definitely not doing that.
Yeah, okay.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Even if they're also a counselor, is what I'm saying.
But the idea that she's bringing up is totally different.
Mine, I mean, it doesn't even have to be us. Like, I mean, if it is us, great, but the idea was not necessarily like, hey, I'm going to talk to you, so vote for me. It was, right?
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
I know.
I don't think you're talking about me specifically, but just that the idea is like, hey, here's a topic. If we can get it to you in 90 seconds and you don't have to read something, because you don't learn that way, then here's another way we can reach people. That was the idea. Okay. Is there anything else on this work plan that anyone wants to discuss or add?
No, there was just one line, aside from address misinformation on social media. I think you should just straighten it out.
And the other thing was just listening.
It's called, so again, that was another thing we did talk about. So again, to hit Jean's comment, that I think we should strike that one, the town council member, desire to address misinformation on social media. I know. Acknowledge trusted sources, use FAQ pages. We talked, there is an FAQ page already. The savings page does exist for, that was a good idea. I like that idea. It does already exist for the seniors, but maybe expanding it for other groups.
But I do think there should be a method for, you know, the town does have feedback that it needs to be brought up the chain, but there should be a method for that.
But that's where the guidelines are gonna come in. And those, the whatchamacallit, the template.
But I think we need to, the desire to address misinformation, I think we need to be really cautious again that we're not like using our position to get into, no, that's not the case kind of a thing. But again, that's a policy.
But that's why I was saying one of the reasons I kind of laid low is because it is a fine line and I'm not really sure where that line is. So until I know where it is, I'm not doing anything. Because I'd like to be safe than sorry.
Right? Yeah.
There are town councilors who've done this in the past, and they can do that if they want to. Ted is one of them. I know he'll jump in on something, he'll say, no, this is wrong, whatever, and he'll deal with misinformation. But at the same time, I don't think we should have a policy that says, okay, this is how we should handle misinformation. I don't think we should.
And we can't all do, like...
It's not a policy, it's the one I'm creating anyway. Just want to be clear, it's just guidelines.
Yes. And we couldn't jump in after Ted said something like that, right? If Ted said something in a conversation, the rest of us can't.
Right, exactly.
So, anyway, it's just
I think we should just
it's just, that's just, I guess, individuals who want to weigh in on that, but they can only do it, within the guidelines. Okay. Anything else on that? All right. All right, so Liz, we've kind of hit a lot of your stuff already. Did you want to talk about your role, your job description, the things that you have done and are doing? Is there any things that you want to highlight that maybe we didn't talk about, or anything else that you?
I mean, you have the document, so I don't want to go over absolutely everything that I'm doing, but everything that we talked about via social media, right now I'm establishing a baseline with all of the different departments. And I am meeting with all of them, seeing where there are gaps, seeing what they're doing, seeing how we can improve. I'm creating different kind of workflows and protocols for, creating content, having it be ADA compliant, having it be accessible to, are we reaching the right audiences, and how can we reach those audiences? And thinking of different ways to leverage our partnerships within the community to get word out there. And these are kind of this is like the tip of the iceberg, because those are things I might get to actually like way later down the line, because right now it's kind of figuring out the protocols that I need to put in place and streamline communications and to make it so that we're all kind of on the same page within interdepartmentally. So a part of that is revamping the social media policy, kind of understanding the different vehicles for communication that we already have, and hearing all of that from our departments, it wasn't even all of our departments, was phenomenal just to know how much they do. And I'm grateful, because that's a lot of what my job is, but they're making it easy for me. So I'm creating kind of guidelines for best media practices, website information, and making sure that information is accessible. It's not only ADA accessible, but I can actually find things on the website that I need to. So all of that is the digital part. There's a media relations part. My background is media, working in TV and radio. So kind of creating those relationships, which I already have, but maybe strengthening them with local media, and also getting information out that we have in town, like our departments, the amazing things that they do every day, and our boards, committees, commissions, and highlighting those things. So sending that out to the media and creating that kind of that two-way communication, as well as with residents. That's the biggest goal for me right now. Not right now, but for me, one of the biggest goals is to have that two-way dialogue and have an open kind of communication system, so people are able to reach out to us, get an answer, be transparent. So all of these things play into those larger goals. I won't go over all the things I do daily, and like the larger things are crisis communications, making sure we have a good crisis plan for when there is an emergency that comes about, and how, what is the stream of communication, and making sure that we're aligned on all different platforms on social media, especially because you don't want having one person saying something different from what the united kind of message you want to send out. So I've upgraded our buffer account, which is an account on social media, which allows to have multiple different social media accounts on there, so you can post across social media accounts. So I have access to the police, fire, DPW, recreation, all of the different departments. I believe right now I only have about 5 in the towns, but I'm working to meet with each department, get all that information, so I'm the keeper of that information. So streamlining that, and I mean, other stuff that I have been doing is really helping with different departments and what their needs are, and if they don't have the capacity right now to help them. If there's a board or commission or committee that needed something done, they should have a department person to help create different branded content, and it should be all from the town. It should be all ADA accessible. So if they don't have the capacity to do that within their department, I can help jump in there. So it's really kind of determining where I'm needed too, and where we can kind of put different workflows in place to alleviate those kinds of requests that people have, and just streamline internal and external communication. So yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I don't want to keep going because I feel like it's just me saying a bunch of stuff that I feel like we talked a lot about. But analytics is a very big thing that I want to know. It was the first thing I asked Tim about and IT, and it's just between Google Analytics and Civic Plus. It's a very challenging situation. So I want to be able to have something for you guys to see, so you can see the measurement of different engagement that we're getting and the reach, and see where we're performing well. There are different. I actually created a list of things that I want to do with the town council, and ways that we can kind of get you out there more, and again create more avenues for people to reach out and get in contact with you. And so you're kind of breaking down that barrier where you're behind here and they're in the audience kind of a thing. So there are a lot of things I want to do, and I'm sure we'll talk all about it, but I think this is going to be a really healthy kind of working relationship, so we can bounce ideas off each other. But for the most part, a lot of the things that we've been talking about, I've already thought about a plan. So all of it's going to go into my communications strategy for the town. It's going to be town-wide. And I think kind of doing the SWOT analysis right now of getting the weaknesses and where we can improve and what we're doing well, and that's all part of what's going to be the foundation of this plan. So I think, unless you guys have any questions, and you can definitely read all this stuff that I have in here, but yeah, Max?
Yeah, so, 10, 20 years when you want to move on and do something great, something better with your life, or I'm keep taking from my mouth. But you want to move on. Do you have a transition?
It's hilarious. It's too late.
Do you want to have a transition? Do you have a transition plan for so that they're not going to be left playing, being locked out of all the social media accounts when you move forward?
Yes, I do. I want to empower. I call them my staff. I want to empower the departments and all of the employees that I work with to be able to do these things by themselves. And that's why we're going to have trainings. I want to have a giant training with all of them in the fall to go over everything. And then I want to be their support. I don't want to leave. I just want to get them to a place where they feel comfortable and empowered to do this by themselves, so that they're reaching their own personal department audience or board committee, whatever, their own personal people the way that they want to, and they're getting more traction, they're getting more attention for their work that they're doing, and spreading the word, and just kind of, I don't know, making it better for everyone, right? We're all working collaboratively. That's my goal, is to kind of leave them all in a really good position, and then we can take on more and more ideas that we have that I can't get to at this moment. Like, I want to meet with Steve and talk about different podcast ideas, and there's a lot of things I want to do with this stuff. I got to do first.
Right, but the town will still have access to the social media.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I am the gatekeeper then. Any questions, comments? Yeah, sorry, I didn't give you any tangible things. I was like, I do all this stuff, but yeah.
No, you do a lot. Well, it was helpful to have this to be able to read through beforehand too as well, so thank you. Okay, so then the very last thing is selection of next meeting dates. I kind of think that, unless we have something that we want to do, I do think, we want to come up with a draft of the rules to present to the rest of the committee.
I worked on that, so I'll have something for you.
Okay. If we decide, if this template is going to be how we present things and figure that out, we also need to say, okay, this is what we want to do for additional office hours. And I would love to hear Liz's ideas of, what the things are that she's come up with, a list of how we can engage more and get out there. I don't think that all of those things would be a meeting certainly as long as this one. I would love to do that in June, if that works for you guys, but I think maybe we could handle that by email, if that works for you guys, instead of everyone hunting through their calendars right now.
Yeah. June is pretty tight, yeah.
What?
June's a pretty tight month.
You can do a reply.
A lot going on.
We can do a reply all this meeting, and it's meeting dates, so we can figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, then, anything else before we close? All right, then, so do you want to motion to?
Make a motion to adjourn?
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. I know you said you don't have to.
I know. You have to say it's
Are
any
you
business.
live back there?
We are now producing this in collaboration with Franklin TV and Franklin Public Radio. This podcast is my public service effort for Franklin, but we can't do it alone. We can always use your help. How can you help? If you can use the information that you find here, please tell your friends and neighbors. If you don't like something here, please let me know. Through this feedback loop, we can continue to make improvements. And I thank you for listening. For additional information, please visit franklinmatters.org. If you have questions or comments, you can reach me directly at suresteve@gmail.com. The music for the intro and exit was provided by Michael Clark and the group East of Shirley. The piece is titled Ernesto Mañana, copyright Michael Clark and Tintype Tunes in 2008, and used with their permission. I hope you enjoy. By the way, you can also subscribe and listen to Franklin Matters Radio on your favorite podcast app. Search in podcasts for Franklin Matters.